hello, what's up this morning, everyone? Welcome. Fine Tuesday to you all, and Modern Horizons 3 spoiler day to you all. Good to see ya. What is up, Tassinger and the Optimator, and Flibblevip, and Owen1 by, and Tassinger? How is everyone doing today? Hopefully everyone is super hyped. Today is gonna be a good day. In an hour from now, roughly an hour from now, an hour and 5 minutes, we get our first official look at Modern Horizons 3. I know. There's been some leaks. We've seen some of the cards, but we're actually going to get new stuff. I'm sure we're going to get good images of the cards. We can finally talk about them without feeling guilty because some people don't like leaks. It is going to be sweet because this set looks so incredibly good. In a weird way, I feel like the leaks have made me even more excited for this set. This was already the set I was most excited about of the whole year, and this year has got some good sets, but this was my #1 set of the year, so I was already super hyped, but seeing the leaks, this set's gonna be so good. Has there been this much of a set leak since New Phyrexia? The biggest one since then was it Ixalan? What was the one where the entire Rare and Mythic sheet leaked? Someone like stole it out of a factory and posted it online. It's gotta be, Aftermath, I guess, leaked a lot too, because, yeah, the Pinkerton thing. I think Ixalan was the other one where, like, literally every Rare and Mythic leaked because of the sheet leaking. And then New Phyrexia, of course, is iconic one. Did anyone enjoy some Baldur's Gate drafts over the weekend? Oh, I didn't do any Baldur's Gate drafting. How was it? Yeah, this one is kind of more of a flood than a leak. Ixalan leaked a lot, including the Commander decks. I mean, some amount of leaks are kind of normal. Honestly, chat, question for you. Y'all are kind of like the focus group in some ways. We have our stream crew, and I like to bounce stuff off you about the YouTube and other stuff. So here's my question for you. YouTube, yes, the WotC stream is about an hour from now. Here's my question. Should I have done spoiler videos for the leak cards? It's something we've been talking about, trying to figure out, thinking about. I'm still really undecided the right way to handle it. Like, look at Modern Horizon 3 in specific. So I'm not talking about, like, a card leaks or whatever. Like, I don't care about that. If a random card leaks, a couple of cards, some random uncommons, like, that's not really worth it. Just wait for spoiler season. But we end up in a situation like this where, like, a big percentage of the set is being talked about, like, a week or two earlier. Is it worth, like, covering them in spoiler videos when they're leaks? Do you wait until they're officially confirmed? Are you still going to be hyped for spoiler content, even though some of you probably saw some of the cards like a week or two ago when they leaked? I don't know. It's an interesting situation that I don't know how to handle it. I mean, that's kind of the risk, right? That's the big problem with doing a spoiler video where you're covering leaks is, what if someone's trolling? And what if it's, like, wrong and the card isn't even real or something? That would be the disaster, because that's what you don't want to have happen, for sure. Wait, yeah, I think that's what we have been doing. That's kind of been our technique. But this round of big leaks with Modern Horizons 3 and just, like, how early they were and how many they were kind of got us thinking about it again, that it could be, I don't know. I mean, we talk about, it's not like I don't talk about them. We talk about them on stream and stuff. We just don't really do, like, we don't put them on the MTG preview site. We don't do the official spoiler videos for them. So it's not like we won't talk about them. It's just we don't do the normal, regular content of them. I watch reviews and thoughts about why I watch them. So you still gonna be just as hyped, even if, like, today when we do our video, it's like half cards that leaked 2 weeks ago. I've got sick of seeing channels say, oh, big leak, but it's just cards I've seen already. Yeah, I mean, some channels go a little bit. I've seen some channels that have obviously fake cards mixed in with their Modern Horizons 3 leaks, but I'm like, what is even happening? Why are you putting obviously fake cards in your thumbnails? Like, what is going on? Talking about leaks on stream is one thing. Official video can make WotC upset at y'all, not that it really matters. Yeah, I mean, that's not really a concern. WotC has basically said, like, once a leak is public, they don't mind people talking about it. So, like, what you don't want to do, and what I would never do, and what you should never do, is if somehow, and this is so unlikely to happen, but if somehow your friend, I don't know, ends up with a sheet of cards that they got from their work somehow and they shouldn't have, you don't want to be posting those on the internet or something. You want to be telling Wizards, like, you know, this happened and, you know, these leaks are out there, we shouldn't have them. That's how you get in trouble, if you're the person who's, like, first posting those things. But Wizards has pretty much said, like, once they're on the internet and on the top of the Reddit and people are tweeting about them, the cat's out of the bag. Like, we're not going to hold it against you. So Wizards doesn't really seem to care. there. But anyway, oh, the other big news before we get into this, I got to ask you about this. So this is an announcement from yesterday. This is Arena news. Enemy fetch lands coming to Arena today. They're launching them, I believe, today, alongside the pre-orders for Modern Horizons 3. So the allied fetch lands, the ones that are already on Arena, are in Modern Horizons 3. The enemy fetch lands, the ones not on Arena, are not in Modern Horizons 3. So they're selling them as an anthology. 8,000 gems, 40,000 gold. If you actually do the math, it ends up being, once you count tax, probably around $50, maybe $40 if you just grind all the gold and don't pay any tax. But you're paying $40 to $50 for a playset of 5 fetch lands. What do you think about this? Is this good, bad? Like, my initial impression was, like, I'm super happy that they added them. We need these on Arena. Not having the other half of the fetch land's really awkward. We don't want to wait a year or two for them to do it. The price is so high, though. Like, past the anthologies, you get, like, 20 cards, a playset of, like, 20 cards, and it was 2,500 gold. So this is almost double the price, and you're only getting 5 cards. Of course, there are 5 really, really good cards and very playable cards. Like, some of the most playable cards in the history of the game. It seems a little greedy though, right? Yeah, you can't get them with wild cards. The thing, here's what I know is going to happen. Here's what I know is going to happen is, and this is so brutal, but you know you're going to buy these for 40,000 gold or gems or wild cards, however, and then you know like a year from now, they're going to show up in Modern Horizons 4, like the Marvel set or something, and then you just get them by drafting, and you're going to be kind of punished for early adapting. We see this time and time again with like counter spells and brainstorms, all the cards that come on special sheets, and they're like mythic rarity or rares, even though they're commons, and you got to spend these like expensive wild cards on them, and then like 6 months later, they show up in a normal set of common, and you're like, oh, come on, Wizards, really? Really, Wizards? But the fetch lands are coming. They're expensive, but they're coming today to Arena. Krista Funk, welcome to the Fishbowl. Thank you so much for your subscription. Big super for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. 20 wild cards have to be worth less than 8k gems. I think if you just buy the wild cards from the store, what is the price to buy? If you were going to buy the equivalent amount of wild cards from the store, I believe that it's like roughly the same price. So you get 4 rare wild cards for $9.99. So that means what? You spend $50 on a rare wild card. So I guess it's a slight discount. You spend like $40 to $50 to get the bundle, or you could buy enough rare wild cards to do it for $50. So a little bit of a discount there. If you have gold saved up, that's an easy way to do it. Thankfully, I have 0 mythics, lots of rares though, so I'll just get them with wild cards. But anyway, what are we doing today? What are we doing today? And this is going to be interesting. Elf, welcome to the Fishbowl. Thank you so much for your subscription. Big subscription. Hey, what's up, Criboli? How are you? Let's do our reminders. And we got about an hour until it's spoiler time. And I hate to say this, but we got to try out this alchemy mechanic, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. But first, our reminders. Replay YouTube. That's where you find all the old streams, including this one of the future normal YouTube. Spoiler content tomorrow. I believe the longest against the odds in the history of Against the Odds. In the 10-ish years we've been doing it, I'm pretty sure tomorrow's episode is the longest Against the Odds episode. It is pretty interesting. It should be an interesting one. So yes, that's coming up on the YouTube. Spoiler videos to Commander. Check out the Commander channel. Tomer's going to cover the Commander spoilers. So all that stuff's going to be going on. A reminder that our sponsor today is Card Kingdom. And if you need some magical cards, you can get them over at cardkingdom.com/MTD Goldfish. Even get a free Goldfish sticker. Modern Horizons 3 pre-orders going on now. There'll be more once the rest of the set spoil. Anyway, so we got about an hour, right, until spoilers. So why are we playing this alchemy mechanic Heist? If you don't know Heist is a new mechanic in the latest alchemy. And what Heist does, it's essentially a Hearthstone mechanic. So take, what's the easiest Heist card? Impetuous Lootmonger. So Impetuous Lootmonger, 2-mana 2/2, first strike. When it ATBs, you can discard a card. If you do, Heist target opponent's library, and when you cast a spell you don't own, you get a treasure token. So here's what Heist means. Heist means you see 3 non-land cards from your opponent's deck, and you get to steal one of those, and you get to cast it as though it was mana of any color. So essentially you steal one of your opponent's cards. So normally when it comes to alchemy, we don't really play alchemy, right? Like alchemy, we just kind of ignore. Why is Heist different? Why are we playing a Heist deck? Well, I have heard that Heist is like straight up broken. I have seen people playing Heist in Timeless, and once alchemy starts actually affecting Timeless, that's when we have to kind of care about it, right? Because I actually care about Timeless. It's my favorite format on Arena. So if this was one of those Arena only mechanics that only like affected alchemy itself, or even historic at this point, whatever, like we can ignore it, doesn't really matter. But if we're going to be playing against Heist cards in Timeless, we kind of got to know what's going up, because that's one of the formats we play the most and one of my favorite formats. So this is just all in a Heist deck. We're playing basically every reasonable Heist card possible, and we're going to see if this mechanic really is busted. Krim says it's busted. He said they got to rebalance it. It's like that busted. I've seen multiple posts on the Arena Reddit with people saying it's busted, they got to rebalance it. We're going to find out if it really is that busted before we get to spoilers. And we have a new donation from McIntyre, $5 donation. Seth, I have a flavor explanation of plot being seen by your opponent. Plot is a mechanic designed to represent the schemes of villains in the set. What do villains do with their plots? They gloat about them to the heroes so they know how to stop them. Maybe my criticism is with superhero movies in general. Because that seems like the worst thing to do. That seems like the worst. Like, why? Why? So yes, maybe the mechanic's actually perfect, but why do villains do that? Why do you gloat about it? I would think if you're plotting, your goal is to get away with the plot, right? That should be the overarching goal. What increases your odds of getting away with the plot? Not telling people about it. That diminishes your odds. Why would you tell the hero, hey, this is what I'm going to do? So I guess maybe my criticism is like villains are just kind of like stupid and the mechanic's actually fine. How do you feel about Evoke Elemental's arena potential? I am incredibly afraid. Incredibly afraid. Like, yeah. All right, let's play some games and we'll talk about it. So the Evoke Elementals is gonna be very frightening. Like, that means Scam comes to Arena. Like, Scam, the mechanic in the deck that needs to be like not part of Modern. Fury's coming to Arena. I guess we'll see if they ban any of them, but I would imagine that Scam immediately becomes the best deck in Timeless, assuming they just release all of the Evoke Elementals. I don't know how it is. It wouldn't be. Like, I don't know how it couldn't be. Isn't it obviously just like the best deck in Timeless is like, yeah, Show and Tell's great, but you know what stops Show and Tell? Getting triple thought seized on turn 1 or turn 2. Like, so yeah, I am very worried about how that's going to actually end up. I imagine it leads to rebalancings, bannings, whatever. It's got to. I don't know how it can't. Yeah, it's even better in some ways, right? There's cards that aren't even legal in Legacy and Vintage. Spoiler stream in just under an hour, noon Eastern time. Yeah, my little brother going to Louisville this year should be. I'm actually really excited for it. Last year he was out in Utah, and Utah is a long way away from New York. Thori and also Caboose, welcome to the Fishbowl. Thank you so much for your subscription. Big super for you. Thank you. Any Kentuckians in the chat? Are there any? I know I'm gonna have to come out to Kentucky at some point this year, maybe a couple times. I need to find a good LGS to visit when I'm in Kentucky. Utah is definitely super beautiful. It's just, it is a hassle to get to from New York. The thing I like about my little brother going to Louisville is not only is like Kentucky not nearly as far away, which is going to be convenient to go out and see him play at his home games, but they also play a lot of East Coast teams. So he's going to play like Syracuse, Boston College. So it's going to make it a lot easier, a lot more convenient to go to games. Oh, we got a bunch of Heisting. See how good it is. Opponent Flooded Strand. Well, Black Leaf Cliffs and Thought Seized You. Might regret not playing a blue source there for this mana drain. Kirp. Welcome to the Fishbowl. Thank you so much for your subscription. Big scoop Jeffrey, thank you. I'm telling you, through the decades in Louisville or CM games in Lexington, I will have to check it out. Oh, it's Mill. What is our scariest mill card? So Fatal Push, we don't care. Drown in the Lock, we care a little bit. So if we take Maddening Cacophony, next turn they play a land. They can play a mini Jace the following turn and we can't stop it. I guess we just take the Jace. Take the Jace and try to play through the other stuff. If we had played a blue source for the mana drain, we might have done that differently. I think playing Timeless is one of those formats, almost like Legacy or even Modern, where like playing the wrong land on turn 1 can have a huge negative impact on how the game turns out. Opponent, Mesmeric Orb, mills a Lightning Bolt. We draw a Orcish Bowmaster. Well, we'll play a Polluted Delta Bastard. I don't know. This is going to be interesting because I imagine this is not a good heist matchup because our opponent's got a bunch of mill cards. Is heisting mill cards even going to be worth it? Can we somehow reverse? Can we reverse the mill and mill our opponent out? Is that actually possible? There's some editing cacophony. Sure. Opponent mills us a bunch. Well, let's start the heisting. So heist your opponent's library. We get to see 3 cards. God, Mill. Come on, Mill. We have a new donation from Sweets Beats. $5 donation. Hey, Seth. I have a super stupid idea for a deck that I can't get working consistently, which is fine since it's supposed to be spicy and fun. Basically, I want to insta-kill my opponent with poison using Venerated Rot Priest and Zada. Ooh, that actually... I mean, so that makes sense, right? I guess we take Ruin Crab? No, they kill the Ruin Crab. Also worth mentioning with Heist, we actually straight up steal the card. So whatever we take will no longer be in our opponent's library. Actually, no, I think we do take the Ruin Crab. We'll take the Ruin Crab. And then I guess we'll crack the Polluted Delta, thin the deck, get a untapped blue source. Less cards to get milled by the Mesmeric Orb. I don't even know if we play the Crab. I guess we can. It's not very good, though. I think we'd rather... Well, all right. We turned on the Archive Trap that we didn't know about. We get milled. Yeah, I don't know if we... Oh, can we beat this? Is it possible? Let's play a Polluted Delta and pass the turn. The thing about Heist, right, is it is dependent on our opponent's deck. And if our opponent's playing a bunch of synergistic mill pieces, it's gonna be way worse. Did you ever get a response on Calamity Triggers from WotC? Tried to submit the bug report and it got denied. I have heard it is an actual bug. Spoilers in just under an hour now, noon Eastern time. I have heard it's an actual bug. I believe that what happens is if there's a planeswalker or a battle on the battlefield, basically something other than your opponent that that Calamity could attack, or the things Calamity creates could attack, Calamity just bugs out and doesn't work, period. Another Grave Expectations. Maybe we can do the reverse mill kill. It could be possible. I kind of want to we need to get rid of this Mesmeric Orb. All right, let's just play the land and pass. I think step 1 is going to be Ottawa on Mesmeric Orb, hopefully. Opponent. So what is, I always ask this on spoiler day, what's your hype level? And this one's gonna be a little different because we've seen a lot of leaks potentially, or you may have seen a lot of leaks. There are a lot of leaks from this set. What's your hype level? Scale of 1 to 10 for Modern Horizons 3. Where are you at? Yeah, I don't know if it's realistic. They got 42 cards, we got 24 cards. The problem with Orb is it's going to mill us out before it mills them out. And if we're going to spend, like, casting this as, like, mill 4, casting this as mill 2, like, anytime we tap our mana, it gets painful. So I think we do have to try to get rid of the Orb, unfortunately. 3. There's a couple of 3s. Really, Doug? What is Modern Horizons 3 not doing for you? Because I'm like an 8, maybe a 9. Like I'm up there. This is the set that I've been waiting for. I'd say more interested than hype. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, it's got MDFCs. How can I not be 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10? New MDFCs. Oh my god. MDFCs are so good. They should make more of them. I kind of wish they'd revert back the Mulligan rule and just make more MDFCs. I feel like that's the right way to fix the issue. Not a fan of Eldrazi. Okay, that's fair. I mean, Eldrazi are definitely one of the biggest themes of the set. Oh boy. Well, let's take a swamp. Take a swamp. Ottawa the Mesmeric Orb. They're going to be able to re-resolve it, though, but they have to use the drown in the lock. Actually, do we need to keep it out? How do we... Huh. Do we just grave expectations? Maybe that makes more sense. Maybe our opponent just times out. That would make it super easy. Ooh, okay. I have one for you, Jay. I have one. So I got an email. It's okay, Bear. Come here, Bear. Come say hi to everyone. I got a smart or scummy email from a viewer. And I want your opinion on this smarter scummy. So no names. This is just someone who sent this to me. A real life smarter scummy. I'm curious if you think this is a smart play or a scummy play. Wow, our opponent's actually timing out. Does that mean they can't counter anything? It must. Yeah. Okay, Triumphant Gateway. Heist them. Take a... Burvac. Oh, we're gonna do the reverse Reno. Take the Burvac, heist him, take a glimpse the unthinkable. Who's the mill deck now, opponent? Who's the mill deck now? Mill. Draw Polluted Delta. So, play a Ruin Crab. Actually, okay. Play a Ruin Crab. Drain ya. 18 cards. They got 40. Play Polluted Delta. Actually, yeah, play Polluted Delta. Mill ya. And pass the turn. Oh, down to 37. Okay. Oh, we might be able to do this. Opponent, Fatal Push. In response, correct the Polluted Delta. Get a... Well, I guess it's a Surveil land. Get a Surveil land, Milia. And Undercity Sewers, we'll leave anything on top. It's getting milled anyway. So crab down. Opponent's down to 34. But Burvac Limps mills 20. We need to get rid of this Drown in the Lock. The Drown in the Lock is the biggest issue here. Opponent land. What's that one unknown card? We got another new donation from Doomblade. $5 donation. Hey, Seth and Bear. I just want to share my thoughts on plot. I think they got it. In Foretell switched around. You could see the future, but it's not a plot. I would agree. I would think that the plot and Foretell would make the most sense switched. I get the argument that villains tell the plot. That is a fair point, but I think the flavor works better the opposite way. Opponent. Going to try to put something back on the top of their deck. It's an archive trap. We could exile it. Do we even want to exile it? I think we let it go. Maybe we can heist it. Maybe we can heist it with the Grave Expectations. I am going to tell you this Martin's coming in a minute. Opponent. Why no Zed? What is Zed? Oh, chat. I don't know. I was asking this on the podcast. I don't know if you know the answer to this. Yeah, but they can't do it this turn, right? Because they have it on the top of their deck. All right, let's do some heisting. Opponent, we will heist your library. And plus, if they tap their mana, then it gets milled by Mesmeric Orb. Oh, that's a glimpse. Let's take the glimpse. Do they even care? Do they care about this Bowmasters? All right, let's untap. Get milled. I think we can make them tap their mana. Because of Burvac. Triumphant Getaway. Well, play the land. Play Burvac. Drain you. Opponent. Gonna drown in the locket. Oh. 30 cards. Okay. 13 cards. Okay, sure. We basically need to heist one more mill effect before we lose. Pass the turn. Opponent. Mesmeric Orb gonna trigger. Mill. The Archive Trap. Mesmeric Orb triggers. Mills the Jace Perfected Mind. Draws for the turn. Yeah, I don't know if our opponent consider the Mesmeric Orb when they put the card on top another Field of Ruin. Opponent. Gonna pass. We're gonna get milled. Oh, this is gonna be very close. 27 cards. We draw Bolt. 9 cards in the deck. Well, yeah, pass the turn. Pass the turn. Opponent untaps, draws. Island. Well, triumphant getaway. Do a little heisting. Can we heist a win? Can we heist a win? Opponent. Drown in the lock. Oh, now we got to think. 9 cards in our deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, mana drain it. Mana drain it. I think we got it. I think we got it. Mana drain the drown in the lock. Opponent. Gonna fire it off a Field of Ruin, which actually might put us too short on mana to win. Yup, that's bad. That is bad. Okay, heist. A Ruin Crab. And heist a Fatal Push. Oh, that should be game. That should be game. That should be game. That should be game. Oh, heist is so ridiculously broken. Yeah, I think we just win with the gateways. We don't even have to win them out. With 2 gateways, we win with the gateways. So, we make a bunch of mana. We'll play a Ruin Crab. Drain you for 4. And then Glimpse the Unthinkable. Mill you for 10. Drain you for 4. And then Glimpse the Unthinkable. Drain you for 4. And heist. This is like the worst possible matchup. We're not even stealing good things, and it's still too good. In a recent video, Krim called you Saffron Olive. Did you feel like your parents calling you by your full name when you're in trouble? I think that is. If he says Saffron Olive, I think it is. It is the man. It is the parent voice. Wow. I'm telling you, this mechanic. So what do you think of this mechanic, chat? Like, how do they fix this mechanic? Yeah, I mean, the scary part about this is we're playing Timeless. This is Arena Vintage. Arena Vintage. The thing I've always said, and I've said this since the start of Timeless, whenever people are like, oh, the problem I have with Timeless is alchemy, my answer has always been, well, the good news is no one actually plays alchemy in Timeless. The cards just aren't good enough, right? Like, so it really doesn't matter. Like, yes, I would prefer there not to be alchemy cards in Timeless either, but if you just play a game of Timeless, your odds of seeing a alchemy card are very close to 0. There's very, very few that show up. Now it's different because of this heist mechanic. Now, apparently, your odds of seeing a card from alchemy are actually pretty meaningful because this one mechanic is so incredibly busted. So that's the concern, right? That's my concern is now that argument kind of falls apart. And if you're someone who really doesn't like alchemy, now you're kind of just stuck with it, really. Like, if it's going to actually make impact on Timeless. So is Grave Expectations about the same as Scry to draw a card, and that's Puritan, which is busted? I mean, it's even better than that, right? Because you know you're going to get 3 non-land cards. So there's no whiffing. There's no, oh no, I hit a bunch of lands and that's not what I needed. You know you're getting 3 action pieces. Spoilers in just over a half hour. All right, here's a Smarter Scummy that someone emailed me today. Real life Smarter Scummy play happened in a local Pioneer event at my LGS, and I wanted your thoughts on it. I was playing a Bard class deck. And my opponent was playing a Prowess deck. Game 1, I got crushed by Slickshot Show Off. The card's busted. Game 2, my opponent got stuck on 1 land, got very tilted, and conceded on turn 3. In Game 3, I was stuck on 1 land, but I quickly saw my opponent was stuck on 1 land again, so I started acting cocky and saying things like, well, this is going to be an easy game, so much that my opponent rage quit on turn 2 and stormed off, even though he didn't know that my hand was pretty bad, and I was completely mana screwed as well, and I even checked my draws after the match to make sure this was true. Now, looking back on it, I feel quite guilty. I essentially pressured my opponent into conceding, or maybe I abused their emotional state to try and get a win that I didn't deserve. So my question for you is this play smart or scummy? Was it an effective bluff, or was I bullying my opponent? Was it my opponent's fault for believing in 1 land, 1 keep too much? Or am I in the wrong for not trying to just play the game fair and square? So that's the situation. Essentially, you know your opponent's stuck on 1 land, you're also stuck on 1 land and don't really have a good shot of winning, but you kind of get cocky and bluff it like, oh, this is going to be easy because you know your opponent's stuck on 1 land, and they tilt off and concede. Smarter, scummy. I will tell it. Give me your opinion, and then I will tell you what my opinion is after you get in the chat. Bluffing is part of the game. Definitely smart. Opponent could have won if they kept it together. If your opponent is tilted so hard they deserve to lose. Smart if there was more than $20 in prizes on the line. Otherwise scummy. Smart. It seems like pretty much everyone is saying, oh, there's a couple of scummies in there, but mostly smart. My answer was, my answer was, okay, my gut is smart and not scummy, although it depends on the actual exact context. If this was a pre-release style event or like a super casual event, then I think it was kind of scummy. Like if you were doing this at like a new player friendly pre-release, some casual for fun event, then I think it's scummy. If you're doing this at a GP level event, some very competitive event, then I think it's actually smart. And I think it's, would I do it personally? No, it could probably not, because it seems a little mean, but in a like higher level competitive event, I think it's the opponent's responsibility to keep their emotions in check. And if you're saying, oh, this is going to be an easy game, literally just put your opponent over the edge so they can't play Magic, I think that's kind of on them. I think the other thing that depends, I think I'm with you, Doug, like scummy and casual, otherwise smart. I think the other thing that matters, I would say, is exactly what you said. Like I could imagine someone saying things that actually cross the line and are just cross the line and become scummy. If you're just saying, oh, this is going to be an easy game or something like that, I think that's perfectly acceptable. But I could also see you saying things that were like too mean or like too over the top, and then it could become scummy for me. Yeah, I got the message too. I think you just got to restart. I don't think there's any actual downtime. Well, I guess we do. Do we do some heisting? Actually, it's probably smarter to just play Pluto Delta, play Ragavan this turn, leave up the mana drain if our opponent does anything. I built something I think you'd enjoy. So, Doug, you said you're not really hyped about MH3 because of the Eldrazi. Are there any, I don't know if you've looked at any of the leaks or anything, are there any MH3 commanders you are excited about that you've seen so far? Opponent, Watery Grave. Opponent's not doing much yet. Orcish Bowmaster. Well, play the land. Get in with Ragavan. Ragavan works pretty well with Heist too, because it's another way to like steal your opponent's stuff. Drowned in the Lock. Yeah, we're not gonna bother to counter that. I think we actually just pass. Yeah, you know what? Let's play. Yeah, we'll just pass. We're in good shape this game. Rakdos the Muscle, Doug. Rakdos is a super sweet commander. That does look sweet. I like that Rakdos, it's kind of a sack deck, but it's a sack deck that really pushes you to play like bigger things to sacrifice, which is a lot different than you see with most aristocrat style decks that are sacking all these like super cheap efficient things. So I like the play pattern of it. I'm wondering why they're doing another Eldrazi commander deck this soon. Eldrazi must just be popular. That's all I can think, that Eldrazi are just so popular. And I guess this is a unique take on it, right? Because it's what are they, mill elf or surveil lands? Huh, that's awkward. Well, crack the fetch. Crack the fetch. Thin the deck. Thin the deck. Tap land. Tap land. Run out the Bowmaster. Ping you a bit. Untap. Another Grave Expectations. Well, go to combat. Get and hit you. About it. Let's play the Loot Monger. Discard one of the Grave Expectations. Heist a... Well, Drown in the Lock's pretty excellent here. What a busted mechanic. And this is a bad matchup. This is the bad matchup. And we're kind of crushing Glimpse the Unthinkable. I don't even know if we care about that. Yeah, we can... I think we can afford to mill 10. Sure. Sure, opponent. Sure. About it. Passing. I mean, we have 2 counterspells and another Grave Expectations at the ready. I mean, I like Eldrazi, although I don't know if I like how they're doing some of the Eldrazi in MH3. I feel like some of them are not as epic as I want them to be, if that makes sense. Well, let's do a little heisting. Opponent, what do you got for us? Well, I guess we're taking a... Cacophony? Tasha's Hideous Laughter. I guess we'll take Cacophony. Doesn't really matter. I don't know if we're even going to cast it. I think we're just beating down and leaving up our opponent's counterspells. Get in at you. Opponent. Down. 2. 8. And pass the turn. Opponent. Did you see that? The enemy fetch lands are being added to Arena. How do you feel about the price of them? And how do you think they will impact Timeless? The price is a problem. I'm very excited that they're adding them. I think it has a small impact on Timeless. Really, you can do quite a bit with just the fetch lands that we have currently. So I don't think it like greatly changes things. It probably helps like domain a little bit, but I don't think it's going to like create a whole bunch of brand new decks, but I do think it's good that we have them. You can spend wildcards on them. The price that they're selling them for, though, that was kind of easy. The price that they're selling them for seems greedy. Like, that's the thing. Like, they know that they're valuable, right? They're treating them like a premium product. That's kind of my issue. And maybe this is a logical fallacy, because I know in paper, whenever there's like a premium product release, one of the arguments people say is, well, the cardboard and ink all costs the same. Why is it selling for more? It costs them the same to make it, which is true, but it's also not a very convincing argument to me, because like cards have value, and even though it might cost the same to produce, I don't know that the cost of production actually plays into it. So maybe I'm falling into that same trap, but it does seem like these are like just pixels, right? They're pixels. They're the same as any other pixel. It didn't take you any more effort or time or money to code a fetch land compared to coding any other anthology. Why are you selling it for twice the price, essentially? No, you can craft them with wildcards. You can craft them with wildcards. We're going to restart real quick since I gave us that message. You can craft them with wildcards. Avert your eyes. But they're selling them in a bundle at the store at a premium price. The thing that bothers me most, and this is the part that, so charging more for them, I get it. I don't like it, but I understand why they would charge more for, it's actually pretty clean for my desktop, honestly. I understand why they're charging more. I don't necessarily agree with, I don't agree with it, but I know why they're doing it. The part that really bothers me, do they have the fetch lands up yet? I thought they were supposed to be adding the fetch lands today. I thought they said. Well, I don't see them here, there yet. Hey, what's up, Labrador? How are you? How do you have 0 icons on your desktop? How do you do anything? What if you need that random JPEG? That random MP3? You might need it. The thing that bothers me the most, the part that seems scummy. Oh, you didn't see the Ragavan? Oh, that's a gangster Ragavan. What did I have the one time? It was some like video clip from a spoiler video that Krim and I did, but the way it was titled, it sounded very sketchy. I don't remember the exact title though. That was a while ago. The thing that bothers me the most, though, about the fetch lands is they're going to get people to pay $50, $40 to get them now, and then they're going to be in a draft set 6 months, a year from now. And then all the people who spent $50 kind of get racked because they paid this really high price. So I don't like how it punishes early adopters, if that makes sense. Like, a lot of times you get a good deal if you're the first one to buy something. You get it on sale if you sign up first or whatever. So that's the part that feels the worst to me, I think, is you just know they're going to be cheaper in the future, because we've seen that time and time again with these cards that are like, the counter spell, lightning bolt. There's so many cards that are like, you got to spend a rare wild card, and then a few months later it's in a normal set and it's a common again. Wait, are the fetches in MH2 the fetches already on Arena? Yes. The ones in MH2 are the ones that are already on Arena. That is a 5/5. Ha. That is problematic. Well, how do we not die here? Well, Undercity Sewers. I'm gonna surveil away that Grenzo, which is a bit expensive, and then I guess we just play a Dirty Monkey and pass the turn. Wouldn't it be better that it was priced at a premium so only invested players would get into it, which is better since you can't get into Timeless cheaply regardless? I mean, yes, I get what you're saying, but I would like people to be able to get into Timeless. Like, I think there's no reason for Timeless to be paywalled like Legacy and Vintage and Paper. There's no reserve list, right? So there's no reason we have to have it be too expensive for people to play. It's digital, it's pixels. Like, it should be accessible to more people. So yes, you're right that Timeless is expensive, and it's not a product for new players or whatever because Timeless is expensive, but I would prefer that they make Timeless less expensive so more people could play it. Like, that would be my overall choice. McKiri for this 76-month. Thoughts on the best standard deck post-rotation? Can Domain survive with just Surveil lands? So Domain gets meaningfully worse without Surveil lands. I think it survives. There's still, like, it'll still work with the Surveil lands rather than the Triomes, but it does get meaningfully worse. It's a good question. I'm trying to think of what decks lose the least. I mean, I think there's a decent amount of decks. Like, do the Legends decks lose anything? Like, I feel like 4-color Legends, 5-color Legends, I don't know if they lose anything at all. So, like, those decks are already good and they lose nothing. How do we play this turn? Well, let's go to combat. Let's get in with a Ragavan first. Opponents. Going to bolt the Ragavan. Okay. Well, let's Thoughtseize our opponent. Actually, do it this way. Let's untap land. Thoughtseize our opponent down to 11. Ooh. Oh boy. Oh boy. Leyline Binding, Breakout, Minsk and Boo, and Stubborn Denial. Huh. Those are a bunch of cards that are pretty bad for us. How do we deal with the Kavu? That's the issue. If we could get rid of the Kavu, we'd have a chance. So they can't cast Leyline Binding right now. They can Stubborn Denial. So we can play the Loot Monger. Oh, but then they break. If we take the Minsk and Boo, they break out. Do we just have to take the Breakout? Yeah, I mean, I guess we take the Breakout and hope they can't Minsk and Boo. Play the Loot Monger. Discard the Mana Drain. Heist a Tribal Flame. Tribal Flame plus Bolt could kill the Kavu. The problem is, once they get Minsc and Boo down and hit that land, then I think we just die. Opponent gets in. Kavu, loots. Ooh, that's the downside of being on the play. Did you see some commander leaks some minutes ago? Oh, I didn't notice. No, I haven't seen new leaks in just the last few minutes. Yeah, we're finding out how busted, yeah. Oh, Leyline Binding. They did not go for the Minsc and Boo. Yeah, but now they get to leave up the... They get to leave up the Stubborn Denial, which counters any of our stuff. Well, I mean... Yeah, Heist, yeah. I think we're dead this game, though. Heist, yeah. About it. Yeah, none of that stuff does it. Does Heist exile the card from their library to conjure a copy? It does exile the card. The card is straight up gone. Well, bring in the Fatal Pushes. Bring in the Molten Collapses. Go down a Nightmare Weave. Go down to Grenzo. Go down a Mana Drain. And Ragavan's probably fine on the play. Maybe a Lightning Bolt. Let's try something like that. Stream starts in about 20 minutes for Modern Horizons 3. Bolt is a good answer to Minsc and Boo. Yeah, it is if we're just so far behind that game. If we're on the play and we could have Mana Drained the Kavu, that would have went way... Oh, this hand's pretty good against our opponent's deck. This hand is pretty good. So, do we lead on Ragavan or Thoughtseize is the first question. We know they have bolts. Leading on Thoughtseize, I guess, makes sense. All right, let's say Meyer. Correct Bloodstain Meyer. Oh, we just updated. I didn't see the enemy fetches. So we go Shockland. Let's go Watery Grave. Thoughtseize you down to 15. Minsc and Brew, Neshoba Brawler, Territorial Kavu. All right, that's fine. Take the Kavu. We got the Mana Drain for the Minsc and Boo. We got a Fatal Push for the Brawler. Let's just... Steam Vents, untapped. Ragavan. Go. Hey, what's up, Tigger Tech? How are you? Good to see you, good to see you. Do we know why so many MH3 cards leaked? Not really. It's pretty clear that people got packs early because that's how they're leaking. I don't know. I imagine it's got to be similar to the Pinkerton thing. I mean, if you want to give Wizards some credit, at least they apparently didn't Pinkerton anybody this time that we've heard of, at least. Maybe they're just doing it on the down low. About it. Untap land. Well, that's Grave Expectations. Heist, yeah. Heist A. Ooh, does Veil of Summer matter? Why are they not playing the Brawler? That's very odd. Let's just take the Bolt, I guess. Untap. Go to combat. Get in with the Ragavan. Hit ya. Steal a Once Upon a Time. Well, play the Blackleaf Cliffs. Might as well play the Once Upon a Time. See if we can hit the Heist Dork. Oh, about it. Ragavan's kind of busted. Hey, Seth, can you look at my 2 decks, please? I've got an Orzhov Landfall deck and Mono Blue Changeling deck. Yeah, let me see, Autism. And, ooh, let me see, Tuca. Testing this out for Standard, reach Diamond. Ooh, nice. Let's take the Bowmasters. And pass the turn. So, Angelic Destiny. Oh, who is... What is this card, though? I don't even know if I've seen... Alright, it's a leak. Let's see. Oh, it's this thing. Flying. Sack another creature, create a blood token. If you sack an angel, create a number of blood tokens equal to its toughness. 3
Orzhov hybrids sack 6 blood tokens. Return each creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter. They're vampires in addition to their other type. Oh, that looks sweet. It's a pretty powerful commander. I don't think that card has much modern potential, but it does seem like a good commander card. Orzhov Landfall. That's a cool color combination for Landfall. I don't know if I've ever seen an Orzhov Landfall deck. What are the payoffs for being Landfall in Orzhov? Oh, you get Animation Angel. Okay. Amiri Angel. That's a cool idea. I do like color pie breaking decks. Wait, is our opponent just doing nothing? Well, I guess we've all mastered ya. Oh, opponent. Opponent. Well, go to combat. Get in headshot. Down to 10. And Ragavan steals nothing. Polluted Delta, go. And this one might be over. Mono Blue Tribe Wear. Oh, Misform Ultimus, eh? It's cool to see a mono blue changeling deck. I feel like, so Tomer's got the Ur-Dragon changeling deck that he always plays, and it's very strong. Like, it's, for casual games, it's arguably like too strong, I think, or like on the high end of the power level for a lot of casual games. Going mono blue is a cool way to have a similar idea with the changeling, bunch of different lord plan, but maybe like keep the power level a little bit in check since you can't just go full 5 colors. I like the idea of it. When are they spoiling? So today they're spoiling main set stuff, and I believe they're spoiling the face commanders. So I think we'll get some commander precon stuff. The full commander precons though are next week, so we don't get full deck list today. Oh, there's the Lootmonger. We'll keep Lootmonger. I mean, this game's kind of close to over, right? Fatal Push the Brawler. Opponent has a Stubborn Denial. Yeah, that does look super fun, Autism. I like it. It seems like a fun deck to play. Here's the one I posted today, $50 Gisa. Yeah, Gisa is a really strong, really strong card. Kind of embracing the spelly aspect. That looks sweet, Doug. Cool to see it with so few actual zombies. It's not like, I've seen people build Gisa as just like a straight up zombie deck, but I think oh, they didn't have a Stubborn Denial. Our opponent's definitely in trouble then. Let's Lootmonger. Discard the Fatal Push. I mean, we're pretty close to just winning here. Breakout? Do we break out for lethal? It's super risky. Go to combat, hit you. I don't think we can do it. The odds of whiffing are too high. Hit you, Ragavan, you steal. Steal a Lightning Bolt, treasure from the Lootmonger. Lightning Bolt, treasure from the Lootmonger, and dead. I'm telling you, this mechanic's busted. I made a deck and kept revamping it, but can you throw out any suggestions to make it better? I feel like it's a deck list you'd love. It's a historic deck, best of one. Ooh, let me see. Ooh, are we doing some villainous thing? Primal Amulet's a cool way to get a big villainous wealth. Got some doppelgangs in there. So I would say, I mean, I guess you're already kind of focusing on this. Ramp's gonna be pretty essential, right? But it seems like you're getting there. You got Explorers, you got Joint Explorations. I would probably play Growth Spiral. I think Growth Spiral, assuming you're in the colors, which you are, I think it's just strictly better Explore, right? So I'd look towards maybe Growth Spiral, either adding it in place of something else or in place of the Explore. How is the lesson plan been? That would be my other question. Is the lesson plan worth it? Or would we be better off, like, if Cram Session, gain 4 life, get a lesson from your sideboard, maybe that's better off as just, like, Growth Spiral for more ramp and focus on the main deck? But I like what you're doing overall. Like, I like the plan of Primal Amulet, huge Villainous Wealth. The other one is the new Villainous Wealth. What is... Oh, I always forget the name of this card. Something outrageous robbery. I feel like outrageous robbery is a kind of better Villainous Wealth now. I guess you don't get to play the cards for free, but I'd probably add an outrageous robbery to the deck, like as a one of. How do we feel about Scam? How do we feel Scam is going to be in Timeless? Broken. I mean, I don't understand how it cannot be the best deck in Timeless. I don't. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. What do you think about it? Like,
Is there a way that Scam is not the best or one of the best decks in Timeless? I don't see how that can happen. I don't see a world where that can be possible. Spoilers in 10 minutes. 10 minutes till spoilers. 10 minutes till spoilers. Scam was banned in Modern when Fury got banned, so it'll probably be super overplayed. I mean, it's kind of the best deck in Modern now again. It's back at the top. Yeah, there was a break when people had to figure out like how to rebuild it, but Rakdos Scam back at the top of the meta even with no Fury, and we've seen it kind of take off in Legacy too, where it's one of the best, like, so this isn't necessarily called Scam, it's Reanimator, but you can scam essentially Grief with a Reanimate, in fact, and there are other, like, straight up Scam decks in Legacy as well, like Orzhov Scam, so it's still really, really strong, even without Fury. Well, kill the Brawler. Wow, it's a lot of triumphant getaways. We kind of want to mana drain something this turn if we can. Mana drain into a getaway would be sweet. This card, I thought this card would be bad. Like, I almost didn't put it in the deck. I just put it in because it said Heist. But it turns out it actually is a legit win con. It actually, in a Heist deck, it's actually kind of busted. I got inspired by John Benton deck on Commander Clash, so I put together my own list. John Benton's way scarier than I thought. I thought it was like a meme commander. Until Richard played on Commander Clash, and my goodness, can that card pop off? Yeah, that looks pretty sweet. I like it. I mean, all you really got to do is get in with John Benton and pump it a bunch and win. Opponent's going to break out. I think it's worth countering this, just because it lets us triumphant getaway next turn. So I think it's worth the cost here. So we'll grab an island. Mana drain. Stop the breakout. Opponent passes. We get a mana or two. Triumphant getaway. Heist and Heist. Heist us up a Territorial Kavu. And heist us up a... well, Territorial Kavu? Actually, let's take a Stubborn Denial. Alright, Kavu, Stubborn Denial. Pass the turn. It's almost time. It's almost time. Opponent gonna finally break out. Finds a Territorial Kavu. It gets aced. And does some looting. Hits us to 15. Wow, and finds their land. Well, we get to... alright, let's... Thundering Falls. Scry. Thoughtseize to the graveyard. Territorial Kavu. Only a 2/2. Drain you. And... oh, do we just pass? Yeah, let's Ragavan. Get down the Ragavan. Pass the turn. Have you played against Preston the Vanisher deck before? Out of all the Blink decks I've played, it's been my favorite so far. I actually had a Preston deck for a while. I ended up feeling like it was too strong, so I don't play it much anymore. But I actually did build a Preston deck. So yeah, I have played it. It is really, really fun. The only thing I don't like about it is... it can lead to really long, dirtily loopy turns, which sometimes I feel bad for for opponents having to sit through, but opponent lightning bolts the Ragavan. Passes. Well, let's go to combat. Loot. With the Kavu. Hit ya. We need to kill the Kavu. I would love to triumphant getaway. Hey, Saffron Olive, I've always wondered how you came up with that name. Is there a story behind it? It's a long and actually not that interesting. Well, maybe it's a little interesting, but not that interesting of a story. Irish Ranger G-Bo, welcome to the Fishbowl. Thank you so much for your subscription. Big soup chip, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. The story of Saffron Olive. So, I moved into an apartment in college, and I had this, like old non-vet neighbor that lived next door. And from the day I moved in, he called me Saffron. I don't know why. I don't know if he didn't understand my name, didn't like my name, but I was Saffron to him since when I moved in. So my friends started calling me Saffron too, thanks to that. And then the olive part, we had this band that was Olive Drab and the Etceteras, and it was like this 60s mod band thing, and one of the gimmicks was everyone was like had the same last name like a 60s mod band, so everyone was Olive, so Saffron Olive. And then that was my name when I created my Reddit account. I used Saffron Olive, and that's how I met Richard, who founded Goldfish, was through Reddit. And oh, come on, no protection, we need this to die. We really could use this dead. Opponent. Just let it go, please. Opponent's thinking. So yeah, and that's how, when Goldfish first started, it was actually designed to be a site where anyone could write on it. If you go back to the very first days of Goldfish, anyone could write articles. So all you had to do is create an account. You could write articles. The good ones would get featured on like the homepage. So it was kind of like an improved Reddit almost, where you could post stuff. So the Reddit name just carried over to Goldfish. And then by the time I realized that the Goldfish thing was kind of like working out and I was going to do it for a while, I was Saffron Olive. The timer has begun. Yeah, 3 minutes, 55 seconds. We're almost there. I got it. Oh, they have the veil. All right. I mean, this is very bad for us. So grab a swamp. Bowmasters, ping ya. And then I guess we ping the Kavu. Opponent also has a Bowmasters and goes attacking. Oh, I think we're gonna end up just losing. Opponent discards, can't block. Down to 6. Opponent passes. Well, let's play the Lootmonger. Lootmonger's not bad here. We do have to discard the second gateway, which is awkward, but I just don't have any faith we can resolve the gateway. Tribal Flames, Stubborn Denial, Leyline Binding. So Tribal Flames does 3 plus 2 from Triumphant Gateway, so it's 5, 6, 7. All right. Well, I mean, we're going to take the Tribal Flames. Go to combat, attack you. Wow, it's actually super close here. It is actually super close. Oh, the problem is our opponent's Stubborn Denials are turned on because they have a 5/5. Their Kavu is not as good for us as it is for them. Well, go attacking. Opponent says good game. We will exile a lightning bolt. Now our opponent says nice. And oops. I don't know why our opponent thought they were dead. Opponent blocks. And drops to 9. Well, Tribal Flames you, make a treasure, and drain you. Impetuous Lootmonger is actually kind of wild. Opponent goes to 4. Lightning Bolt on the Lootmonger. Well, this is awkward, but we have to Stubborn Denial it just to get the triggers. Opponent can pay. Down to 2. We go to 10. All right. It comes down to this. Opponent taps. We're at 10. They're at 2. We need it. Oh, Minsk and Boo off the top. And that's lethal. Wow. Wow. Oh. Wow. The problem with binding is it's so much mana for our deck. Like, and they just play they have so much protection. I honestly think that this deck's busted though. The mechanics busted. I really do. Good news is perfect timing because spoilers about to begin. You'll have to let me know how the audio levels are. How we doing with audio? Can you hear me? Can you hear the spoilers? Modern Horizons 3. Crack those packs. How's the audio levels?
Oh my god.
Hey,
Oh my god.
it's Marshall and Nummy.
This is like the sweetest pack ever. That is awesome. These sets are made for people like me. I've been playing the game for a long time, and I love Limited, and Modern Horizons sets
Modern Horizons
are perfect for that.
The cards are super juiced, and everything is far more exciting.
Modern
and fun
Horizons
to
3 is
play.
made
And
for
everything
Limited.
is so strong.
I mean,
but
I guess
everybody has
is
these
Modern
strong decks as
Horizons
well,
3
so
made for
it's-
Limited?
It's kind of like haymaker
Ooh,
after haymaker.
yeah,
And
maybe
this is the one
it was
time
Marshall.
when the
It
gloves
was
get to
Marshall the
come off
whole
for the
time.
designers, and they get to just unload all these cool, weird ideas. Hey, do you want to put that in the set? Yes, I do.
How's the audio now? Is it still quiet? I turned it up
For
a
Modern
bit.
Horizons
Is it still
3,
too quiet?
We knew that we were going to be doing
All right.
Eldrazi, we knew we were going to be doing Energy, and we were going to be doing these sort of build around, transform planeswalkers. Everything started from there and then just rippled
All right, there we
outward
go.
as we
Hopefully
developed
that's-
the set.
So is that
for
good?
30 years, like basically 2/3 of my life,
I mean,
I've been playing Magic.
they
I've
are
seen
made for
the
boomers,
Modern
right?
Horizons grow and develop, and it's my jam. You know, it's exactly
They're
what
like
I'm
Time
about.
Spiral.
The one thing that kind of unites everyone who works at Wizards of the Coast is we love Magic.
The people that worked on the set, the people that even work on any part of Magic are Magic players. We still play every day. We follow and pay attention to,
looks like
trends and
a
what's
like a
happening in
professor or
real-life
something.
tournaments. We wouldn't do that if we weren't passionate
He looks
about
like
it.
he looks
Before
like
I
a
came to
professor.
Wizards, I was a very competitive Magic player. That was always my favorite type of tournament.
Michael
was
Mage. I remember
modern, where it's
Michael,
like, there's tons of interesting
Michael was a
possibilities. The
SCP
metagame's
grinder,
always
right?
gonna be
I
very
remember
fresh.
Michael
There's
playing
so
SCP Tour.
many options in cards that you can kind of express yourself in just whatever way you feel like it.
If you like something
us
about
the
Magic,
cards.
it's in Modern for you somewhere.
As a non-boomer,
I mean,
actually
that's
like
the fun.
them.
It's like you give
I like seeing
people
the
more toys
references
and
and
they find
callbacks.
different ways
Yeah,
to
it is a
break
great time
Me,
to learn
I'm
about
excited
that
for when the
stuff.
set comes out.
Yeah, we
Oh,
might
look
have to
at that
revisit
beautiful
some of the Planeswalker
The first time
tribal
you
decks
actually
with these new
see
flip walkers.
the real glossy Magic cards in your hand.
Is that our boy?
What is
I think it is.
I think that's
Now
our
it's in a real Magic card, official, crisp.
Oh, is that a spoiler? Is that I saw a Priest of Titania. I saw a
You
Priest
worked
of
with it for
Titania.
years, and you still
Spoiler
get
one.
the sense of awe when you get to open those packs.
Yeah.
No, this is a real Magic set because we gave
Can we make out
players a
any
way
of the
to elk
cards?
stuff. A lot of the appeal
Trickster's
of
Elk.
formats like Modern, like Legacy, like Pioneer, is that if you buy a deck,
Oh, the
you're going to be able
Oko-
to play
the
it for a
Oko
really long
callback.
time, ideally forever. We also want people whose decks maybe haven't gotten new tools
Am
in
I
a
going
while
to watch
make
the
sure
game
that they do
later?
have
Wait,
an
watch
outlet
what
to be
game
able to get
later,
new things.
Fury?
And then there's, I'll call the audience that loves powerful cards.
I have to recalibrate my
I love
entire
powerful
brain
cards.
around picking these really
It is
powerful
a
cards.
Oko
It was a
bestow
couple months of us
creature.
kind of
Bestow
locking
turns
ourselves
into a
on a
3/3
different
elk,
floor
I
from the
think.
rest of the design teams, get through the list of all the cards we want to see and play, and we would print it out of these printers that print, Magic cards, which is pretty cool, and then assign them out
I wonder,
every week
do you
and be
think
like, let's
that
do a
they
report every
are
couple
doing
days
this
on how
because
things
of the
are going, how
leaks?
are the cards looking.
An hour playing is often worth, just hours
Like,
of conversation.
do you
I
think
can
they're
feel
gonna
when
just-
things are coming together, and I can feel when things need revised. Part of the fun thing about like early
Are they gonna
design
make
is you
this
wanna
drag
explore
on
what's
because of the
fun.
leaks
What
and
parts
they-
of this do we like? What
I
parts
know we've seen the
do we need
cards.
to move on from?
We've got some playtest versions of this card so we can kind of see how it evolved, right? And what we found was this deck had so many weird lands that made colorless mana that it was super hard to cast this card
So-
before and after.
you're playing, and you know Michael Majors, the lead designer,
I can't
will come
even
up
read the
behind
cards.
you
They're
and
too
be like,
fast.
Oh, all of a sudden your 4/4 is a
Wormcoil
3/3,
lava.
or you're like, hey,
Dies me
this
too.
says
Oh, that's
these
a
words.
playtest
Does it
card.
mean that? And it's like, no. Oh, that was the old version. Scratch out. Right. By the time you get to the end,
I wonder how much
are
the
like,
Wormcoil
wow, this is
costs.
revolutionary.
We couldn't see the
This has
mana
really come
cost.
together.
If it's
And
like
so
3
playtest
mana,
cards represent
5
all
mana?
of this change, all of the work that we
5
did.
mana,
It's
3
kind of
3.
fun
Oh,
to
it's an
see what you
uncommon.
designed
Oh, that card's
to put
actually
into
probably
the set
fine.
versus what the players
It's probably
do
fine
with
in
it.
So there's
draft.
people like me who just love to draft.
I love drafting.
Drafting is my bread and butter.
I am a draft fanatic. The Modern Horizons
Why
sets
are they
some of my
focused so
favorite
much
of
on
all time
draft?
drafts.
Oh, that art
Wow,
was
that's
really,
like-
really
You
cool.
keep getting multiple rares.
It's so, I don't understand.
When you start opening these cards, it's like, wow, wow, wow.
I don't understand why this Modern Horizons 3, why are we so focused on draft? Like, sure, draft is great, nothing against draft, but I would assume if you're making a set called Modern Horizons 3, you would focus on, like, modern and not commander precons and
Are
draft.
very
but
loud about what they're trying to do.
Energy looks like one that they actually wanted to make one of the
Is it
hallmarks of
Generator
the set,
Room?
and it's a really
2 mana.
cool
If you get one more
additional
energy, you get that many
resource
plus
that
one.
you can
Hey,
manage
energy
that
Monicon.
isn't
Tap, draw a
life
card,
total
activate only if
or
you have 4 more
mana.
energy.
Early on, the team
Okay, so
sits down and says,
I mean,
all
I
right,
guess that's good
we
for
have
limited.
10 color pairs.
Do you think
we're gonna
that-
have Eldrazi, we're gonna have
Yeah, these are all
energy,
limited
but also we have
creators.
to figure
There's
out
no
how are they going
spike,
to
no,
mix.
yeah,
Modern
none of the
Horizons,
modern
the power level
creators.
is clearly a bit higher.
The 3 Eldrazi Titans are here. They're returning. If you thought
I
Emrakul
will
was
s-
exciting,
okay.
we have
Ooh,
both
Ulamog the
Ulamog and
Defiler.
Kozilek that I hope will also blow your
Kozilek,
socks off.
Kozilek
For
seems
me,
bad
Emrakul
to
the
me.
World
Is
anew,
Kozilek
it's
bad?
this
I feel like
amazing,
Emrakul.
12/12.
So new
That will
Emrakul
represent the
is very
enormity of
exciting.
Emrakul. And
New
besides
Emrakul, I
Madness,
think,
like, if you
has a
have
chance
6
to be really
colorless and you
good.
discard it, you can play
The
it for
madness
basically
cost
half
is
its cost.
I'm
wild.
super stoked for Eldrazi.
Ulamog
These
the
cards
Defiler,
go
I think is
huge.
also
They're
good.
really
Ward
strong,
stack 2
but you have
permanents.
to work for these cards.
Exile
and
half
that's
your
the
library
type
when
of
you
card that I
cast
really
it. It's
like.
gonna have a
It makes
huge
my brain
annihilator.
start to spin about how can I put these together.
Like
to
that
get this
card's
huge
really
payoff.
scary.
So whenever you look at the new
Kozilek,
Kozilek,
I'm kinda like,
manifesting
meh,
is not
like,
something that you normally
what?
get to do in a
Like,
Magic
it-
set.
it's not
With
very
Kozilek,
epic
you
feeling.
get to
Does
find
Kozilek
whatever
feel
your
epic?
high impact cast trigger is going
Stream
to be
audio too
throughout
loud.
all of Magic's history, and then how do we make
Is
that
what do you think of the
powerful
new
enough to hang in
Ulamog?
modern? When it
Or the
comes to
Kozilek? Do you think the
Horizon South, we
Kozilek?
generally know
Yeah,
that there's
Kozilek
sort of
feels
an
trash.
expectation that there's
I
gonna
think
be some
Emrakul's
sort
broken.
of free spell
Ulamog's
cycle.
in
We
between.
did the evoke
Kozilek's
elements
trash.
in MH2, the forces
That sounds about
in
right.
MH1. For
Kozilek,
MH3
like-
of the flares.
So we definitely needed an exciting
Oh.
new twist.
Oh.
Card. So instead of pitching a card from your hand,
I mean, the
you actually
flares are
need to
pretty
sacrifice a
pretty
non-token creature
exciting.
on the
There is a
battlefield
higher cost.
on
Flare
the board. So
duplication's
it's an
really
interesting new
good.
dynamic.
Flare of Cultivation was one that we spent.
They're
a
just, like,
ton
sewing
of
off the
development
set.
cycles on, and some
There's a
versions of
whole
Eldrazi
so
that were
flare
trying to go
cultivation.
further up the curve and
This
cast
one's
bigger
probably
spells.
the
We wanted to make
safest
sure
of
that
the
they're fun
bunch.
and not
It's a
oppressive.
cultivate.
duplication.
Flare of
All you have to do,
duplication.
you find
This
a
seems
goblin
like
who's
Commander
running, you
All
find a red
Star, like
creature,
a
you're like,
free
I'm
fork
sorry,
effect.
friend, you have to go.
So
It's
good.
just like,
And
I
maybe
need
modern
2 of
playable?
the spell I'm casting. Just being able to throw back.
I think
your
this one's
opponent's
really
spell
good.
in
I
their
think flare
face, that's
duplication
amazing. And
is really,
now,
really
assuming
good.
you have at least 1 red creature out. That's something that's going to have to be in the back of your opponent's minds.
Oh, do you have
If you got a red creature, you never know.
Yeah.
You never
That's
know.
one of the
Could be
funnest
anything.
cards.
Yeah.
It's literally a reference
It's a free
inside a
fork.
reference. You have Big Mirror Enforcer, Little Frogmite as the prototype.
That
and the
design is
creature
really
is the
cute.
two of them combined.
I do
It
think
was
the
a little
design is
different at
super
one point,
cool.
but
I think they figured it out. I mean, Frog Mirror Enforcer. You see it,
Right.
you get it.
I really
Calling
love
Yarn
the
doesn't really
callback
work though, because
cards
it's got to
in
be
the Modern Horizon sets.
non-token.
We want to do callbacks. We want to have fun and for players to be able to catch
That card
references
is-
in the art where possible.
Should go in
To
every
me,
commander deck you
callbacks
build,
are
I
sort of
think.
this,
That
I'll
card's so
say,
good.
Dive through Magic's history.
if you've played
There
a
are
lot of
12
Magic,
Mirror
you're going to
Enforcers
see
now,
characters that you're familiar
which is
with.
relevant
You
with
might
like
even see
Ugin
some sort of
Sanctum,
meta references
Kozilek's
to cards.
Unsealing.
we're
We have
making
this
this
like
theme for
cast something
ourselves,
mana value
too,
7 or less
right?
theme,
So
or
we
7
want
or
those
more
moments of
theme.
excitement, like,
So I
what
feel
if
like those
I could
cards are gonna be
finally see
really
this thing that
good.
I've always thought about and talked about and wanted to see.
I really like the series of cards that we've made where we take 3 kind of copies of one famous Magic card and staple them together.
Yep,
into
we
a
got the
single
Hawk
card.
one. We got
Modern
Llanowar
Tribe,
Tribe.
Horizons 1, we had Healer's Flock in
What
Modern
is the new
Horizons 2,
one?
And now we have Mogmob, which is 3 Mog
Mog.
fanatics.
If you get it, you're just like, oh, they took 3 of them and put them together.
I mean, that's a
Originally
good
didn't
mono red
have it as
devotion
deal divided
card.
damage,
Triple red,
and it was
3/3,
just deal free
sack
damage
it,
to
3
any target. Someone
damage,
gave me that
divide as you
suggestion,
choose.
like, oh, this is actually
That might be Mono Red Devotion playable.
This particular set's cool because it has a lot of throwback or callbacks to cards that I might remember from.
I mean, the
past. So
callbacks
it's
are
this
part of the.
interesting
That's
mix
part of why I love it so
brand
much.
new,
Triple Mog's
never
really
before
sweet.
seen, but also with things that are a
Log
little more
Bob.
familiar, a little more comfortable.
I like
We have
it.
Snow-covered wastes, which is kind of a reference to the first time Eldrazi was a big deck, was called Eldrazi
I don't know why we need
Winter.
snow-covered
the
waste, but
completionist
oh, it's
in
supposed
me
to reference Eldrazi winner.
Loves the fulfillment of.
Yeah, Marshall is really good at what he
We have
does.
a waste.
Also,
Can
Marshall,
we have 5
very good at
snow-covered
fixing
basics?
watches.
We
Have you
didn't
ever seen
snow-covered
Marshall's
wastes.
watch,
Like, of
watch
course this is
channel?
something that should exist. We need to have snow-covered wastes. And
Marshall, if you ever want a interesting hour of your life, look up Marshall's watch fixing channel. I care less than zero about watches, and I watched like a whole hour-long video of Marshall just like refinishing this old pocket watch, and it was actually like really interesting, even though I care zero about it. So yes, Marshall's really good at what he does.
I think my favorite in-joke is also my favorite card in this set.
Yeah,
and
Wristwatch
that's
Revival,
Witch
that sounds
Enchanter.
right.
Whenever
Yeah,
you
he's got the
cast
great
it, you say
narrator
Witch
voice.
Enchanter,
Witch
'cause that's the name
Enchant.
of the
Oh, this is
card,
MDFC,
and
3 mana
in
2/2. Witch
Greater
Enchanter.
Magic
When
for cards that
ETBs
start
blow up
with
an
dis,
artifact or enchantment,
people
can
will
come into
say
play
witch
untapped.
spell, and you say dispel when you counter it, or witch member, dismember, etc.
That's pretty
so
good.
Witch Enchanter, you get to say disenchanter, and when it enters the battlefield, it destroys an artifact or an enchantment, like the card disenchant. And that was one that made a lot of people just giggle during playtesting, and getting to see your game pieces bring people joy in real times is what keeps me coming back to this job.
Witch Enchanter.
This one.
This one? This one? And there's a whole backside to the card.
I don't know
Yeah,
about
right,
I don't know
right.
about this.
There's more
That
card
is
there.
making me giggle.
Also
I don't know
on the
if
list
I'm
of
giggling
cards
with them or
where
at
it was
them,
just
but
kind of preposterous enough when I
6,
suggested
3
it,
mana
the
2/4
room kind
reach.
of
When it
laughed,
attacks
and then
mill
we thought, well,
3,
Ren
and then do
6
something.
originally
I think you
did
need to
come from
retrace
Modern
cards, right?
Horizons 1, maybe.
The Horizons have matured enough to where we start referencing themselves.
It's a depiction of 6 before it merges with Ren. So there's this just really
How good is
sensitive
show us
scene
the
of being
card? Like the
forced
art's cool,
in, like,
but
autumn
let us read
leaves.
the rest of the
There are a lot of
card.
constraints making the cards that a lot of people on the
That was an
outside don't
epic nose
realize.
ring.
In some cases, like token artwork, if a token is on a bunch of different cards, you can't always change the stats of the token.
What is
Genku
the
Future Shaper is
Genku
one that we
Future
thought was a
Whoa.
cool enough character
4 mana
that
2/5.
we made a bunch
Whenever
of
whenever non-token
individualized
permanent you
tokens
control leaves the
just for this
battlefield,
card
choose one that has
because
been
we thought it was
chosen.
such a great
Create a
story
creature
beat.
So
with the
those
oh
creature
my
tokens
goodness,
are all
so much
of,
text,
Chrysanthemia's children.
so
It's
much
basically
text.
him as a stay-at-home dad.
So one of the really cool things about working on a Horizon set like this is that you get to be really pointed at the kinds of cards that you're answering. So
I don't think
Thief
they
of
really
Existence
want us
was
to
one
read
that
all the
in
cards.
playtesting, it literally was called Time Unraveler.
I feel like that
because
card's
the
pretty
whole purpose
good.
of the card was to check Teferi Time Raveler.
Whenever you cast a
Serum
spell, actually
Visionary
up
is
to
a
1 non-land
classic
permanent,
Modern
mana value
Horizons
7
style
or
design
less.
Where we take a famous
Serum-
card, in this case
Serum
Serum
Visionary.
Visions, and we attach it to a creature.
All right,
So
I
this
mean,
is a
not bad with
spell, now it's a
Panharmonicon, I
creature
guess.
that
Good
when it enters,
Panharmonicon
it casts
card.
that spell.
Psychic Frog is
Yeah, I think
maybe
that's the
first
goal, is we
card
gotta
I
read them
ever
over
made.
after.
I think Psychic Frog is just like the home run nostalgia hit.
Psychic Frog, right?
Psychic Frog. It is.
I mean,
a
Psychic Frog
reference
is
to
cool.
Psychotog as a psychic frog.
I feel like
Psychic
that
Frog
card's
kinda
probably
is.
playable. I feel like it's gotta be
Going
playable.
back to the
Although it does die to
nostalgic
Fatal
feeling
Push.
of it, like seeing cards that were a little bit twisted
I wonder,
from their old designs, but
do
basically
you think
the
that,
same
like,
thing,
did
kinda
Nami
just
work on this
let me
set? Like,
feel,
are these all
you know,
people
what it's
that
like to
actually
open a
worked
booster
on
back when
designing
I
this
was
set?
10 years old.
Oh, I'm a huge fan of the retro frame cards.
I think retro frame cards just kind of go back to that
Shadow
sense
of the
you know,
Second
what does
Sun.
nostalgia
At the
mean
beginning-
for certain people. It's
Holding a card in your
Something
hand
happens at
looks
the
like,
beginning
you know,
of-
the
that was a
first
new
Magic
card. We
you
hadn't
ever
seen that
opened
one
up
yet.
From a pack is, you know, just
Oh,
a
there's
really
6.
meaningful moment.
So I opened up a
As long
retro
as
frame
it's
flooded
your
strand.
turn,
I see them,
non-land
and it
permanents every
immediately makes me
trace.
think of when I first started playing Magic. And
Old Border
I don't
Flood
know
is
why,
grand,
but
looks
there's
sweet.
something about the way it was when you
We need more
started.
old borders on
It
Arena.
just
Hopefully they
feels
add them to Arena
awesome.
this
For Modern
time.
Horizons 3, because it's really touching on callbacks and touching on nostalgia and really building into what I'll call the heart of Magic, it means that we go
The heart
and we
of
just
Magic.
build the art in a different way. Let's find out what we love, what our fans
That Black
love,
Lotus
and
polo is kinda
tap
sweet.
into that.
I think it's really important to bring legacy artists back for a set like this because it, like,
Oh.
immediately it ties back
Oh, we
in
bring back
visually
some
to
old
the history of
artists?
the game.
These
Who are
artists
we
know
bringing
magic
back?
inside and out. They're war
Nicky!
masters.
Welcome to the
and
Fishbowl.
they've been
Thank you
working
for your
with us
subscription.
so
Big super
long.
great.
We
Thank you,
all
thank you,
can
thank
put
you.
a lot of trust into them.
Richard Kane Ferguson, yeah, his work is
RKF.
incredible. You can't look at his art without like hearing
RKF's,
guitar riffs
yeah.
and
Oh,
like
White Orchid
sky-splitting
Phantom
lightning
is
coming
so
from his
good.
work.
He just dives
That
into
card's
immense
so
detail.
good.
He has
White
a very
ramp, white
textured,
land
almost
destruction,
punchy
decent
look that I just
body,
adore. Nobody's
couple of
work looks like
mechanics.
that,
That
and I
card's-
think his
that
work
card's really good.
stands out. The borderless frame break booster fun
Oh,
movement is
Blake
oh,
might
it's
appear
really, really
later.
cool.
We've only done these really sparingly. You know, really
Borderless
the powerful cards
frame
can get
break.
amplified by something exciting like that. But for the opponent, like they're feeling
I mean, the
that,
frame
oh,
break,
no, like it's
that looks
so
fine,
powerful,
I
it's like
guess. What do you
breaking
think of the frame
card
break
as
style?
It's like showing up.
Yeah, so for me today, I
If you hit
drafted
your own
Eldrazi,
Flagstones
and
of
that's one of my favorite
Tarkir
creature
or
types.
like an
It's one of my
indestructible
favorite
land,
things that
then you
they've ever
can
made
tutor out a
creatively from
land and
Wizards of
turn
the
it into
Coast. So
ramp.
once I see that, I'm in.
These are concept art. I remember digging through the office to find like the original.
It's interesting
Eldrazi
to see
concept art.
with the energy wheels, giving your opponent the option to wheel if they want to, or if they serialized.
250 of these in the whole world. It makes it really special.
Yeah, these
You know what one's probably worth the
when you're
most?
opening a collector
Probably
booster,
the
if you're hoping to get
XXX
one
of
those
250.
I mean, you have a chance to open one
That's the
of
one
these,
I
and
want.
that's
I
an
want the
experience that
XXX
you're
of
just not gonna
250.
get very often. You open up something so cool.
You
and
know,
this
if
would
you
be
get
like
one,
the
it's gonna
best
be
open of my entire
Kozilek.
life. If I got one of these, also I'm a huge fan of Emrakul.
It is a
I'm
little
huge fan
curly.
Of Martine, the artist for this, so I love the artwork for it. I mean, this would probably be a card that would never leave my collection if I opened it.
Usually what my favorite process is just working with the artists, communicating with them, and they can be really creative.
Aether Refinery was an example of a card where we really gave the artist more freedom.
Aether
The art
Refinery.
description was basically just
6 mana,
design
whenever
as
you
an
want more
Aether
energy, you get
Refinery,
twice that
and
much
then they
instead.
came back with
Tap,
an Aether
you get an
Refinery,
energy,
and
then
it
you
was
pay
the most
1 or more
beautiful
energy.
Aether
If you
Refinery
create
ever.
XX black,
I'm
either one creature
always
token,
surprised by
Rex's
the
amount of
art
energy you spent.
Whenever I write
That's
it down,
a
I
lot
have
of
this
mana,
picture
but it's
in
kind
my
of
head
sweet.
of how it's gonna
They
be.
are
But
definitely
I'm
putting
not
on the
an
hard
artist. I'm
sell.
not about the words, and then the artist will take that and transform it into something amazing.
So I think like when I start drawing, usually I
How
try to
many
just think about, like,
AI art
just, like, the
controversies do
general
you
gesture
think
of what's going on.
we'll
I'm
have
Evan
with this
Fong,
set?
and I've been doing art for Magic since Theros Beyond Death. I do illustration and concept art. I did the Tamio card. It's my first Planeswalker. I'm really
That is a
excited
pretty
to see
cool
her.
looking
These are like
Tamio.
preliminary sketches I did. This is kind of like my thinking before I go into like sending the sketches to Sarah. I've been looking at a lot of manga artists lately, and they do a lot of ink
At least
work
5.
and pencil work, and it made me really inspired to kind of try to get the
2.
energy that comes with working with analog media.
I really
So is
enjoyed
this
the
set
Tamio
more
card in
of a
particular
homage,
because
get
we don't
down
have to feel beholden
get
to
down
our
to
current
older
timeline.
stuff?
We can go
Sort
back
of
and show
Groovy
her
Goose.
as she was in the
Like the
past,
idea
and
of
that's
Modern
something that
Horizons.
is really unique to the Modern Horizon sets.
The idea of Modern Horizons is to add new cards directly into Modern, but it also works kind of like a time spiral.
Being vulnerable.
I mean, it wouldn't be a
being
Magic
unreal,
set with
yeah,
at least
I
1
think
or
that
2
was one of the
stolen
coolest
arts.
parts
It's
about
kind of a
like
tradition.
that, showing both
We-
things, right? Getting a chance to.
That's the reference, right? The reference is you steal an art to reference the last time art was
I
stolen.
was really inspired by
on
a lot
flavor
of
for
anime I saw
Modern
growing
Horizons.
up, like magical girl transformations and things like
The
that.
idea of Modern
So there's a lot
Horizons is a
of, like,
break.
graphic
Hopefully not
design
break, but that
elements
does
and,
tend
like,
to
things
happen,
where
right?
The special
I mean,
effects are used,
Cameo
like, as ribbons or things like that.
Brainstorm, right? Cameo turn 1, turn 2 Brainstorm, flip it. The problem is the backside's like kind of not the strongest, but
she looks awesome.
it's still a turn 2 Planeswalker with Brainstorm. And then you can get back your Brainstorm and Brainstorm more or something. Like, I don't know. My question is, I remember...
First time I
Remember Obnixilis? I thought Obnixilis was going to be incredibly busted because you got 2 Planeswalkers on turn 3. But it turns out that what the Planeswalker does matters a lot. And Obnixilis is fine and it sees some fringe play. But Obnixilis has never developed into like a true staple because it turns out the Planeswalker is just not that strong. So that's my one catch with Tamio. The idea of like turn 2 Planeswalker, really intriguing, but when I read the backside of Tamio, I'm kind of like, okay, like it is technically a Planeswalker, but it's not like a broken Planeswalker.
It's young Soren.
The front side of Soren's
New Soren.
card is
This
him
card's gonna
as
be
a human
good.
teenager.
You only
when
need to
he's
gain
just
3
this
life to flip
lordly
it.
little princeling
And then
on
the
Innistrad.
backside.
Young Soren is one of my favorite
It's got to be
ones
good
the
in
whole
Soul
set that really,
Sisters,
like,
right?
gives you that
It's
he's,
got to
like,
be good
looking
in
off
Soul
to the
Sisters.
side.
And then once you flip
I wanted
it,
him to be this cowardly,
it
brooding,
can just
angsty
straight up kill
teenager, and then
people.
the art came
Negative
back,
1
and
deals
it was
damage equal to the amount of life you
exactly
gain
that.
this
It's like,
turn
oh my gosh,
to
that is
any
perfect.
target.
It's
So
fun
you
to do
flip
that
it
with the
around,
Planeswalkers
you
and
activate
to
a Martyr of
depict many of them
Sands
when
and
they're
just win the
young
game.
for this
Burn your
art.
opponent out. Like
Raw
Martyr
was
can
my
easily
favorite
gain
because
16.
What does he look like as a young
I'm
man?
not. I
And
know I'm
so
saying the
it's
thing, but
really
like it
exciting to
really
see
like
them
it's
in a
got to work
more
with Martyr.
vibrant
That's got to
and
be a thing.
explosive pose to where they're actually
Unfortunately, it's a
playing
black
forward.
card, which is
amazing to see
awkward
these
with Martyr.
Planeswalkers
But
come to life, and this is literally
I don't know if
showing their
Ral's good. I feel like
spark
Ral
moment.
might be
There's
one of the
a
weakest of the
Ajani,
bunch.
and you can see Ajani
I think
and the
Ajani,
impact that the
Ajani's
death of his
probably
brother had on
fine.
him. It's one of the
Like it
original
makes
Planeswalkers,
a 1/2 and a
Lauren debuted
2/1, and then when
Ajani,
you flip
he's
it
still
around,
with us today.
it
We
puts
get to
counters
bring
on
him back
things.
over and over again. So
You know, from my perspective as an art director, one of the most fun
What are you
things
doing,
about
Mary?
it is getting to look back
What are
in
you doing, Jeremy?
catalog of the art, kind of bring
What are you
back
doing?
some artists.
We're doing
like
spoilers.
we
How are
worked
you?
with Ron Spencer for
How are
one
you,
of the
bud?
double-sided
How are you?
Planeswalker cards, and he's been making art
Grist.
for Magic
Say hi to
since
everyone.
Alpha. And
Look this
Grist
way.
is
Can you
kind
say
of
hi?
disgusting. She's like
say
this
hi,
giant
Victoria?
monster made out of bugs. The other side, which we've never seen in Magic before, is Grist as like a little caterpillar, and it's like dripping fangs.
Bear
and all
sighting.
these like purplish, reddish, like viscera colors, and it's so beautiful. You could.
I
Like,
think
print it
Grist
on
is gonna be
silk, but
good.
It's like a gross.
Grist is one of
little,
those
like,
cards.
monstrous caterpillar.
He's always looking for
Amazing.
second breakfast.
course I have,
Grist is one of
a lot
those
of love
cards
for
that I
tons of
feel
different
like
cards.
they
Ophelia is
designed
definitely
with
my number one
Bowmasters
pick.
in mind,
She
with
is
that
in
extra
likeness
toughness.
of my personal pet, Ophelia. This is Ophelia.
Apparently that
She's
is.
a good girl.
Wait, did he make it to
Yeah,
look
so
like
here
his
she
dog?
is. Here's my pupper.
Man.
It's Ophelia, the exuberant shepherd.
So the borderless profile cards
That is-
give us
that
this
is an-
chance
oh,
to
man.
show the fans like
How
a
do I get
really
Bear on a Magic
much more
card? Now I'm
intimate,
jealous. I've never
singular
been
look
jealous
at
of anyone
these
working at
powerful
WotC, but
creatures
if I
and
could put Bear on a
characters.
Magic
You know, when
card.
we draw planeswalkers or important characters on a Magic card, the reality is their faces end up being, you know, like half a centimeter tall because we want to also show part of their body and we
It
wanna
is
show
dog nepotism,
weapons and magical
exactly.
effects. So the borderless profile cards.
Do you think Kalia can do
I think,
anything
a
in
really
modern?
Special and fun treatment that we do.
Is there
You
any
think of, like, an old
chance,
school battle
like,
of, like being
you
on
haste it
horseback and
in,
the
drop
commander
a
riding past, and if you're
Grizzlebrand
lucky,
or
you get, like, the
something?
glint of their eye, right, and that like motivates you to run out and throw yourselves on the spears of the enemies. Just like a gorgeous piece of work.
I feel like
We've
it's
done a
probably not
couple
gonna
borderless
work, but it
profile
does look
card
good.
versions of the
What?
Eldrazi, and it's always kind of like a mind scramble.
Oh, that's a
They're just,
commander
like, these
card.
huge
Whenever you cast an
monstrous
Eldrazi spell, you can pay 2
sky-filling
colors to
horrors
view
that
copy
destroy everything in their
all
wake. So
spells you
Cosmic Potter's Artist,
control,
we've worked with a bunch on
and then
those,
copy all other
and
activated and
we're able to,
triggered
like,
abilities you
work within
control.
limits to really produce
What?
stuff that feels powerful and exciting.
What?
In that little cardboard square.
Have you seen the borderless?
Isn't that card kind of busted?
Borderless commander cards.
Nice, look at that.
Isn't that kind of ridiculous?
Well, I've got the commander decks here.
Copy-
Why don't we pass them around?
Copy
Merit Lage
everything for
token
2
with the
mana?
Sand Warrior on the back. I think that gives us an idea of
Wait,
some
is
of
that
the
a Merit
wackiness
Lage?
that is possible. Are you
serious?
Yeah.
One
Is
of
that
the
a
things
Merit
that I
Lage
really
token?
love about Modern Horizons
Are they
to me
gonna
is that
put-
it's
are they
trying
gonna
to
put
make
Dark
more
Depths in
Magic
Modern?
more exciting to more
Are we gonna
people.
get
This is
Dark
not just a
Depths?
modern set. This is a set for
No.
From the very beginning, we
It's
saw
not a
it
modern
change
set, it's for
people's commander
everyone.
decks. Commander players love powerful cards. Magic players love powerful cards. I love powerful cards.
And so the angle that we found for the commander decks was, what if these are commander decks that feel like they are about the modern format?
One of the things
I
about
do like
Modern
that that's the
Horizons
direction
3
they
commander
want.
decks, those
I
cards
will
in-
say, we're like, what, 20 minutes into this or something? And I feel like they have not mentioned modern, period.
Horizons 3 expansion symbol. Those will all be legal in modern. And then some of them will have the MH3 commander expansion symbol.
Yes, I know that's kind of awkward.
Oh,
the product's
that's a
called Modern
commander
Horizons
card.
3. I didn't want to let us be held back because, yeah, modern's in the name.
We need
Once
that
you open
commander
the
money.
Package, they're just amazing Magic cards.
We need
Oh,
that
wow.
commander
These
money.
are the new commanders for the precons? Wow, that is awesome.
The Eldrazi incursion deck, commanded by
Wow.
Ulalek, fused atrocity.
I mean, that card
For
seems
the
wild to
Eldrazi
me.
deck,
Whenever you cast an Eldrazi
are
spell, you
a
can pay
big
2.
deal
If
in
you do
Modern.
copy
They've been,
all spells
very
you
impactful
control,
for quite a few
then
years
copy all
now. I just
activated
love
and triggered
having
abilities you
gigantic
control. You can
monsters
choose new
that
targets,
crush
and it's
everything
5 color.
The
That card
creative
is
energy
ridiculous.
Deck is led by Satya,
Satya,
Aetherflux
Aetherflux Genius.
In this
4
deck, you
mana,
wanna
3/5
build up
menace
your reserves
haste.
of
When
energy
attacks, create a
and then
tapped and
spend
attacking
them all
token
on a huge
that's a
effect
copy
to
of
sort of
one
blow out your
other target
opponents in a
non-token
big
creature you control. You get
blast.
2
The
energy.
reserve, you are going to
So much text.
fill it up and use the energy.
Do you think energy
There
will be
are,
good in Modern now?
I think it looks like at least 4 copy tokens to give you an idea.
That's a lot of copies.
That's a lot of copy tokens.
The tricky terrain deck is led by Omo, Queen of Vesuva.
3 mana, 1/5. When
This is
ATBs or
definitely
attacks,
the
put in
weirdest
everything
of the
counter on up one
decks. She
target
can not only
land,
give
and up to one target
creatures
creature.
all
Each
creature
land with
types,
everything
but
counter
she
is
can
all
give
land types.
lands all
Each
land
non-land
types.
creature with
I
everything
love
counter on is every creature type.
combining weird
That's a cool
cards together
card.
that aren't normally
I
played
like
in
complexity
Commander. I
too.
love
That card's
winning
really cool.
with things that nobody expects. The Graveyard
I don't know what you do with
Overdrive
it,
deck is led by
but it is
Dita the
sweet.
Restless. Now this is an old character. She appeared in a whole lot
Whenever-
of flavor
oh,
text
this
from
is the
Ice
Goyf.
Age.
This is the
Serious
Goyf
long-range
deck.
callback there. But then mechanically, she
Whenever
calls
Lure
back
Wave
to
flavors, put in your
something
graveyard
a
from the
little
battlefield,
less
put it on the
ancient,
battlefield,
which
or
is
from anywhere but the
Tarmogoyf,
battlefield,
which
put it on the
Was
battlefield.
a huge player in Modern for most
And then you make
of the
Tarmogoyf
format's
tokens.
history.
That card's
This
real.
Jund
oh.
deck has a lot of Goyfs in it. Our good friend Tarmogoyf, our old
As much as I like to meme on Commander decks with Modern Horizons, those decks look
Greatest
sweet.
cards of all time.
They do look
Lurgoyf
sweet. Like
themed
it's
commander.
It's a Tarmogoyf
That's
commander deck. How
Let
could
us
you
just
get mad about a
more cards
Tarmogoyf
into
commander
more
deck?
people's hands, right? Like we knew there were commander players out there that were wanting cards that were custom for them, and the commander decks let us do that.
For players who
The thing is, the problem with that logic that I have there is there's like 12 products a year that are designed for Commander. Like, I get it, and the decks are cool, and I'm not going to complain about it all. It's spoiler season, but is it really wrong to have like a set that's not focused on Commander? Can you have, is it wrong if there's one set every 2 years that's about Modern? Like, I don't know. I don't know if I buy the logic that like we have to have every single product and every single set be about Commander.
Options.
It's hard to not like the Eldrazi one, but I like the one that messes with the lands the most. Yeah, the lands deck is
Oh,
really
I think
weird.
Assassin's
wanna
Creed
try
is
that.
about Commander
I think that
too.
these decks are going to especially appeal to people who are fans of both formats.
Modern
The
precons.
format.
The problem with modern precons is the Commander does sell more. That is I think true at this point. The problem with doing Commander precons or doing modern precons of some kind is just that they would have to sell them, or would feel like they have to sell them for too much. We've seen it in the past when they try to do like modern event decks or whatever. If they actually make a real modern deck, the prices they're going to sell it at is higher than people want to pay for it. And then it ends up not being a successful product because of that. If they did it at pre-con prices, that'd be great and it would go crazy, but then they'd feel like they're losing out on too much value, so they don't want to do that. So that's kind of the paradox of printing like modern pre-con decks and why it doesn't happen.
I'm going to draft it nonstop.
It's more accessible than ever. And
It
easier
is
than
really
ever
sweet that it's coming to
just
Arena for the
jump in
first time.
and play with these cards.
A big part of it is just the scale. There's just so
Wow,
much. to it.
Harbinger
There's
of
so much
Seas,
complexity.
spoiled
There's so many
during an
cards.
arena
Like,
game.
This is not a small set. Modern Horizons 2 was
Local
something
player.
we talked about back in the day, but it was just not possible at the time. Arena did not have the depth of the history of Magic. In the years since, we've shipped more old card sets. We've added a ton of.
This makes me think that it is realistic that we could actually get modern on Arena at some point. But if they're going to add Modern Horizons, it seems possible.
Arena is a computer program, and it needs things to be very specific and very particular. We want these cards to work on Arena. We want that interface to be smooth. We want the game.
I mean, it makes waiting for Commander on Arena. There was a bit of news about that, about them like working on Arena 2.0 in a couple of years and focused on multiplayer. So I don't think it's going to happen in the short term, but I think long term they are actually working on it. Yeah, Pioneer's close. Pioneer's close. Pickpo Media, welcome to the Fishbowl. Thank you so much for your subscription. Big super thank you.
Words, or like, is there a way we can get this effect?
Chat with a
as
second, son.
trigger instead of a
At the beginning of
replacement
Enchanted
effect,
Player's
that kind of thing.
pre-combat main phase,
99% of the cards we
There's-
don't have to change. And the answer to does this work is yeah, good to go.
But in those meetings, when we're going back and forth with Studio X, it's very much as Magic players. Everybody in the room wants the coolest cards possible. So how do we make that happen?
We knew Modern Horizons 3 was coming when we designed Timeless, when we were putting all the pieces together and figuring out what we wanted Timeless to look like. We were sort of rethinking the way Mastery Pass works for Modern Horizons 3, and it's going to function similarly to what players who go to Magic Fests or Magic Cons now would remember as a prize wall. I was a big fan of the prize wall coming
There's
to
gonna
the
be a
tabletop
prize?
events years ago,
What?
and it sort of changed how people engaged with those large events. And I'm excited to see how Arena players respond to having access to something like a prize wall.
The first Modern Horizons was really
There's gonna be a
Modern
prize
Horizons
wall
2
in
kind of
Arena?
Identified that there was a much bigger audience for this than just your hardcore Modern players. The set is about nostalgia and history, and this is Magic's history, and it's now Arena's history. It's really exciting.
Yeah, so the people I got to play with today, you know, we're not talking about just game designers. This isn't just work for them. They show up and they're clearly fans of the game. I mean, you could see them looking around and seeing what our reactions were. They were proud of the decks that they drafted. They got exciting opening cards that they designed. And it really comes through when you get to sit down with actual cards in your hand, because you can see their face.
It makes me sad how little Modern has been mentioned in this. Like, Arena's got a bunch of focus, Draft got a bunch of focus, Commander got a bunch of focus. And they were like, yeah, Modern. You know, Magic's more than just Modern, but Modern
You
exists.
regret giving this trample.
I regret giving
Poor
no,
Modern.
The Wumpus needs trample. I'm gonna play Solar Transformer.
Okay.
How would a
There's like
prize
3
wall
energy.
work on
I go
Arena?
to
Did they
5,
announce that in the
play
Arena
Scurry
announcements
of
yesterday and I
Gremlins.
missed
I
it?
get 2 1/1 red
I'm
Gremlin
curious what
creatures.
that even
Various
means.
Then I get an amount of energy equal to the number of creatures I control.
Okay.
This card has 1 more ability.
Okay.
It's a very important ability.
Does it involve the word haste?
It does involve the word haste. 4, 8.
Are you serious right
11, 14.
This is real. This is actually happening.
This is actually happening.
What are we supposed to be getting from this part?
May I go to blocks?
Yeah, you can block. You can block.
Like,
for
what
sure.
are...
I'll block this one.
I'm hitting you for 25.
I don't really understand.
Yeah, good game. Good game.
What the heck, Mike? You had nothing.
The bigger Magic fan you are, the more you're going to enjoy this set.
This has almost been 3-4 years in the making.
So just being a fan of like, yep, I'm gonna rip this open and give me
I wonder
some
if they did a
mythics,
real
right?
draft.
Give me some-
You think they
give me
did a
some
real
broken
draft?
rares.
I could still like remember the smell of opening the booster.
I mean, they are, yeah, they did look like
Love
they're having
Magic.
fun.
Play
That's true.
Magic almost every lunch hour. I know.
I'm really just hoping that the people around me feel the passion.
But this has been,
the product.
I don't know, compared to other spoiler streams, there has been less card focus, I
fans,
think.
Like, open a pack and they gasp or they think like, what? I never
I
imagined
feel like
they
past
would do
spoiler streams are more card focused, and this one's focused on life at WotC. That's like a documentary of what it's like to work at Wizards, almost. All right, we made it. I mean, so we got to see some cards. It did feel a little bit like a WotC infomercial. I could see that. All right, here we go to weekly MTG. Starting soon. So here's what, let's look at these cards while we wait for them to come on, because we got some of these on the site already. So we got to see some of these. So this one I didn't get to read all the way.
Hello and welcome
oh, wait,
to
they're
the
back.
MTG after show, where we dive deeper into everything that you've just
Genku
seen
Future
from the Modern
Shaper.
Horizons 3
4 mana
campaign.
2/5 Moonfolk Wizard.
We're going to talk more previews.
Whenever another non-token permanent you control leaves the battlefield, create one that hasn't been chosen this turn.
We have a Mike Turian and
Choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. Create a creature token with those characteristics.
I've known you two for years.
That wording is so weird.
But
We've had these names all our lives.
Why that wording? Create a creature token
so
with
we're gonna
those
hang out for the next
characteristics.
hour. We're gonna reveal some more
2/2
cards that you've
White
definitely
Fox
never seen
with
before. There's
Vigilance.
no way you've
1/2 Blue Moonfolk with Flying. 1/1 Rat with Life Black Wet or Lifelink.
We are gonna dive
Put a counter on each
into
creature
this
you
Modern
control.
Horizons 3 set. We're going to talk about
Why
revamped
that
legends.
wording?
We're going to talk about mechanical missions.
Rage Bear, welcome to the visual. Thank you so much for your subscription. Big super chat for you. Thank you.
Before we get into that,
Flare
why don't you guys
Cycle.
say what you did on the set.
Mog Mob.
I'm a product architect
Cameo.
for Modern
1
Horizons.
mana
You
0/3.
can kind of think of
Flying.
that as a
Whenever it
combination
attacks,
of
investigates, you make a clue. When you draw your third card of the turn, exile it, return her to the battlefield, transformed under her control.
do it here for Modern Horizons 3.
+2, until your next turn, whenever a creature attacks you or planeswalker you control gets -1, -0 until end turn, -3, return the instant sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. If it's green, add a mana of any color. -7, draw cards equal to half the number of cards in your library, rounded up. You get an emblem with no max hand size. So in theory, play this on turn 1, flip it on turn 2, plus
Hi, I'm Mike Majors.
ultimate.
I was the lead designer on Modern Horizons 3. Kind of similar to Mike.
I mean, you gotta have, yeah, it's gotta be a Brainstone or a Brainstorm. I don't think you can do it fair. Is it worth it fairly? It is a 0/3. It blocks Ragavan for days.
Yep.
Yeah, and Commander, if you can flip this early,
Cool. Well, let's start
and
with
it's your
design
commander,
philosophy. So we've seen a
it
bunch
might
of
actually
cool
be
cards.
busted
We're
in
gonna dive into
Commander,
some
now that
more.
I think about
We're gonna
it.
dive as deep as commons.
Because you're gonna
in
have
the
it
show.
every single...
Michael,
every single
talk
game.
About overall, when you're designing
Are we doing
a
spoilers? Not
Horizons
yet.
Set, and specifically Modern Horizons 3,
I think Soren's
what's
really
the
good.
philosophy
Ral, I don't know if Ral's good.
Yeah, so the
I think
promise
Ral's
of
probably the worst of the
Horizons,
bunch.
Product line is basically that it originated as
2 mana
kind of a
1/3.
time spiral 2.
Instants and sorceries cost 1 less to cast. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery during your turn, flip a coin. If you lose a flip, it deals damage to you. If you win the flip, you can exile it, return it transformed into a planeswalker. The ETBs will loyalty counter for each instant or sorcery you cast this turn. +1, you get the first ability, reduction in cost on instants and sorceries. -2, 2 damage divided to choose among 2 targets. Draw a card if you control a blue permanent other than Ral. Exile type cards in your library, cast instant or sorcery. Well, maybe in a Storm deck, it might be worth it in a Storm deck.
Hodgepodge,
Can I
everything
zoom
out of Magic's
in?
history,
I will
both characters and
attempt.
mechanics. And we
Does this
sort of
work?
think about it as like out of place
Hey,
at time.
there we go.
So, you know, maybe we're talking
What about Grist? Grist, voracious larva. 1 mana, 1/2. So doesn't die to Bowmasters, which I think is intentional. When it or another creature you TVs under your control, if it entered from a graveyard or you cast it from a graveyard, you can pay a green mana. If you do, flip it into Grist the Plague Swarm. 3 loyalty, +1, make a black and green insect creature token, then mill 2 cards, put a death touch counter on a token if a black card was milled this way. -2, destroy an artifact and enchantment. -6, for each creature in your graveyard, create a token of it, except it's a 1/1 black and green insect. Seems easy with like Gravecrawler. What website is this? This is mtgpreviews.com. The goldfish spoiler site.
Right into the preview.
All right, preview's coming. And we have a new donation from McGeary, $10 donation. They should do a triple Bugler Rat next. They actually should. They haven't done a black one yet. 3 mana, discard 3 cards. Also, they only talked about drafting Commander, didn't mention listing your Modern deck. Talk about Arena, which doesn't even have Modern. Worst spoiler stream of all time. My excitement actually decreased. It is true that they didn't focus much on Modern. Thank you for the donation, McGeary. I'm down with triple Bugler Rat. Pearl Ear Imperial Advisor.
Michael, where did this card come from?
Yeah, so right off the bat, we can kind of see an example of like here.
Is this for Modern?
A collection of things that we don't normally get to see on a single card, right?
How good is this card?
Affinity is kind of known for.
So I feel like this is supposed to be Bugler Swarm. It sounds like an unset card. I feel like this is supposed to be Sevulin for Boggles. Remember when they printed Sevulin and Merfolk came back in Modern, pretty much thanks to Sevulin? I feel like that's what they're trying to do here. Pearl Lake Imperial Advisor, 3 mana, 3/4 lifelink. Enchantment spells have affinity for auras. So once you stack up some auras, your other auras get cheaper. And then when you cast an aura spell that targets a modified permanent, like something that already has an aura on it, you draw a card. I feel like you could just chain together, maybe. But it is expensive for Boggles, right? It's 3 mana, and it doesn't do anything super immediately. There's not many colorless auras that you can play to take advantage of the cost reduction right away. So it's like 3 mana I need to untap. Sevulin was indestructible. It is funny that you can cast a free Eldrazi conscription. If you get enough auras on things, you can just be slamming Eldrazi conscriptions for free.
Yeah, I've seen before.
So what auras benefit from the 1 mana reduction, or potentially more than 1 mana reduction? Most of the ones that typically see play in Boggles, and that's probably going to be the problem with this card. Like, Boggles plays 1 mana auras because they want to be as efficient as possible. So you would have to play less efficient auras to benefit from the cost reduction, which means if you don't stick a Pearl Ear, then you're going to have all these clunky auras that are not as good as the auras you could be playing. So maybe it's just not. Yeah, maybe it's an against the odds. An against the odds, like, do a funny thing with Eldrazi conscription style card. I do think it's cool. What about Commander? Is this actually just a Commander card? Maybe that's what it's designed for. The art is, I do like the art. The all red like profile art looks really sweet. Maybe this is supposed to be a Commander card. Is it as a legend? It is a cool build around. It's probably strong as a Commander. Maybe it's designed to be a Commander card.
Upcoming, we'll be looking at the Collector Commander decks, which feature the legends in that treatment also.
I guess that's the other thing you can do, right? Is like, yeah, you can get auras on things to reduce the cost on your other enchantments. I don't think that would be a thing you did in Modern, really, but in a Commander deck that could work.
And the legendary frame just really.
It does work with, yeah, new area. Well we just need more auras for area.
We want to bring that here.
2 mana Overwhelming Splendor sounds sweet. Got I mean, it is a cool card. I would say like,
well, let's move on to
maybe 4 out of 10 for Modern.
Revamped legends. So Pearl Ear, you may know Pearl Ear if you've been playing.
Maybe 3 out of 10. Yeah, it might not be 4 out of 10. 5 would be like average, right? Yeah, so it's got to be like 2, 3 out of 10.
Like myself have been around for a long time, aka old.
Come on, Blake.
Wait, hold on. Is that Kamigawa also?
Yeah, but we've recently returned to Kamigawa.
Neon Dynasty, I see.
Yeah,
okay,
but we've got a new version.
A new version
Eladri. It was one of the first
Eladrami
when I started playing, but we've got Eladri Korvek Doll here.
Korvek Doll. All right, what is this card? 3 mana 3/3. Wait, it's like Sevulin, but for elves. They're trying to bring back elves by making a 3-drop. 3 mana 3. Everything's just Sevulin. 3 mana 3/3. Legendary Elf Warrior. You can look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast creature spells from the top of your library. Pay a green, tap it, tap 2 untapped creatures you control. Reveal a card from your hand or the top of your library. If you reveal a creature card this way, put it on the battlefield. Activate this only during your turn. Oh, that card's absurd. That card's ridiculous. Okay, so this card, yeah, I mean, I think Modern Elves would play this. I think the problem with Modern Elves is not Eladrami, the lack of Eladrami. It's that you get wrecked by Bowmasters and all your mana dorks get killed. But this is a ridiculous card, right? Like, you play this in an elf deck on turn 2 most likely off of a mana dork, and then you can just chain together elves off the top of your deck, and it's pretty easy. And remember too, the tap 2 untapped creatures, those creatures can be summoning sick. So Eladrami has to not be summoning sick, but you can cast a couple of mana dorks off the top of your deck, spend a mana, tap the summoning sick mana dorks along with Eladrami, Craterhoof, Emrakul, like whatever, into play from the top of your deck or your hand. I don't know if this is enough to bring back. Yeah, it makes me think of elves because, yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be elves. It makes me think of elves because it is an elf, and Eladrami's traditionally worked in elf decks, but it doesn't have to be elves. You could just build a generic deck around cheating stuff into play. You do want a very creature-heavy deck, right? To take advantage of the second ability, the casting creatures from the top of your deck. And plus, you need a bunch of creatures to make the last ability work, too.
Mike,
that card actually seems strong.
We added
That card's actually kind of busted.
there from the last slide.
Yeah, it could work in
We saw the
Druids.
retro frame. So
Yeah.
talk about the retro frame.
Yeah, so the retro frame, it's mentioning Priest of Titania, right? That's when it debuted, it came out in at the time.
Do you say retro frame or old border?
Now the retro frame.
I always say old border, but
what
I guess
the
retro frame is
does
the
that for those
official
people who have been
terminology.
playing a long time or have been collecting that treatment, it's another expression of Magic that some people hold.
Is it weird when a card that was originally printed with the old border is printed again with the old border? It's like a little weird, isn't it? That's the only thing that's weird. Like, seeing the old border, like, flooded strand that they showed off earlier, it's cool that there's another old border printing of it, but it's all a little bit weird that there was I would love it when there's cards that don't have an old border. They get the old border treatment, but it's always a little awkward when they retro up a card that was already retro.
Environment with your drafting and whatnot.
Yeah, the Eladrami, I think, is that card might be one of the best ones we've seen today so far.
Sort of just extended the number of cards in that retro frame because we know it's a beloved frame, and so we wanted to give it back.
Yeah. All right, let's
All right,
move
Blake,
on
show
to
us something
our
good.
third preview card, a flavor text all-star from back in Ice Age. Here we have Arna Kenner, Sky Captain.
Arna Kinnaroon, Sky Captain. 5 mana Esper 4/4 legendary creature. It's a human knight. It has flying and it has lifelink. It says ward discard a card, so it's Graveyard Trespasser ward. Whenever a modified creature you control attacks, double the number of each kind of counter on it. Then for each non-token permanent attached to it, create a token that's a copy of that permanent attached to that creature. I mean, that seems like a sweet commander. There is literally zero chance that this is anything more than an against the odds card in Modern, but it seems like it's going to be an incredibly popular commander. You can load it up with auras, you can load it up with equipment. It works with everything commander players love. If you look at EDH Rec, what do commander players love? They love putting counters on things. They love putting equipment on things. They love, to a lesser extent, putting auras on things. That card is going to be incredibly popular. Like, +1/+1 counters, one of the most popular themes. Equipment, one of the most popular themes. Auras, I guess, are like oddly high up there in the top 10 somehow of most popular themes. Artifacts, #1. That card's going to be so popular. And it is really cool. Like, I can't wait to build around it, but that is definitely not a Modern card. That's a commander card. What about this one? Detectives Phoenix, 3 mana 2/2. Bestow of 1. Collect evidence 6. So for 1 mana, you can play it as an aura attached to something, but you also have to collect 6 evidence from your graveyard. Flying and Haste. Enchanted creature has +2/+2, Flying and Haste, and you can cast it from the graveyard using its Bestow ability. That's a modern card. That's a modern card. I don't know if it's a good modern card, but that is a modern card, right? So you mill this over in some. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's bad. Here's what I'm imagining. All right, listen to this. Listen to this. You're playing something like Dredge. You mill over your like Golgari Grave Troll. You mill this over. You get your Golgari Grave Troll into play, and you just put this on it to give a haste in like one-shot kill. I imagine it working like, was it Flamekin Zealot that people would use to like close the game in a Dredge style deck? I imagine that's what you do with this. Is it's like a weird Dredge finisher where you get your thing back from the graveyard and then you put this on it for 1 mana and you just haste that thing in and use it to one-shot your opponent. Grave Troll is banned, so that's probably the worst example, but that's the kind of thing that this card I think would be used for. You're not going to run this out as a 3-mana 2/2. This is going to be a like a Bloodghast style card that you want to get in your graveyard, an Arclight Phoenix style card that you want to get in your graveyard. I think it's got a shot. I think it's got a shot. I think it's got a shot.
So for the main set cards, you can
1 mana bestow is actually pretty good.
And non-foil. And, you know, I just love here with the...
What made Splinter Twin banned? No one really knows. That was a banning that no one ever really agreed with. But according to Wizards, it was for the sake of the diversity of the meta, even though it was like 9% of the meta at the time. The honest answer is they had a Pro Tour coming up and they wanted to shake it up. And their way of shaking it up was banning Splinter Twin. And then they gave us Eldrazi winner. As a result.
Right, chat, I see you asking for modern cards and also commons and uncommons.
We're not watching the WotC chat, but apparently they're also saying, you're sending us all commander cards, WotC. I will say every single time there's a Modern Horizons, everyone says it's Commander Horizons, and then it breaks Modern. Ooh, Volatile Stormbreak is how impactful is this card? So 2 mana 3/2, flying, hexproof from activated and triggered abilities, weird line attacks so it doesn't trigger itself, I think, or additional copies. When it enters the battlefield, exchange control of it and target creature and opponent controls. If you do, you get 4 energy, then sacrifice that creature unless you pay an amount of energy equal to its mana value. So you give your opponent a 3/2 flying with hexproof from some things. Yeah, the frame break art's pretty sweet. So you give, it's supposed to be Gilded Drake, right? It's a new Gilded Drake that cares about energy. Gilded Drake is what traditionally used in like show and tell matchups, where your opponent show and tells their Emrakul or whatever, and then you show and tell the Gilded Drake, take the Emrakul, they get the Gilded Drake. So I think that's what it's supposed to be used. I think the protection is so you don't have this like your opponent, like you put this into play and steal your opponent's copy. I think that's what they're going for, because what other activated or triggered ability would be relevant here? Like other than that, maybe I'm missing something, but it is less abusable. And if you're not going to steal the Emrakul, right? Like if you steal the Emrakul is going to sacrifice itself. Maybe it's still worth it because you got rid of the Emrakul. Like that's still fine. That's better than staring down Emrakul, but not as good as just owning the Emrakul. So it is kind of 2 mana removal, although it is 2 mana removal that leaves behind a 3/2 flying hexproof from a couple of random things for your opponent. Oh, that's also true. You can't Flicker Wisp it. That's a good point. You can still blink it, right? You can ephemerate it, but you can't Flicker Wisp it. What role does this have in Modern? Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out is, like, what do I do with this in Modern? Where do I play it? Should I sell my Gilded Drake? No. Gilded Drake's on the reserve list. I think Gilded Drake's actually just better than this anyway. So, like, in Legacy, I'm pretty sure, outside of budget concerns, maybe some people would play something like this because they can't afford Gilded Drake, so it's ungodly expensive. Yeah, I guess maybe that's what we're overlooking, right, is it does make 4 energy. So you can play this, intentionally choose to pay 0 energy, and it's just 2 mana make 4 energy? And give your opponent, like, get rid of your opponent's best creature and they get a 3/2 flyer, like a Beast Within almost. Beast Within, get 4 energy. Your opponent gets rid of their best creature, they get a 3/2 flyer.
It's a little too powerful for Modern, but here we have
Brain Surge. Uncommon, 3 mana instant, draw 4 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on the top of your library in any order. So, Brainstorm being an extra card, but it's 3 extra mana. honestly, considering people play Brainstone sometimes, maybe this is good enough. It is instant speed. It works with miracles. You can still do the fetch land filtering trick, right? Almost even better in some ways. Like, this is going to really rearrange your hand. If you're trying to stack the top of your library with it, this card might actually be good. It might not good, but I think it could be played in certain decks. I think it might be good enough to see play in certain decks. It digs really deep. Like 4 cards for 3 mana is incredibly deep. As long as you got a fetch land to shuffle them away, which you should if you're going 4 cards deep. Okay, I think I'm talking myself into this being like actually pretty solid. What is it competing with? Like Archmage's Charm? I guess it is very bad against Dan Horizons. I guess it is really bad against Bowmasters. It is really bad against Bowmasters. Like, you're gonna get wrecked if you cast this into a Bowmasters. Flips Tameo. It does flip new Tameo. I think it has uses. Like, it is rough how it lines up with Shieldred and Bowmasters. That's gonna be an issue. But I think it does. I don't know. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by this.
In the same style. So we basically.
How much would real Brainstorm ruin Modern? Would it just straight up ruin Modern? It probably would just straight up ruin Modern.
And we thought, yes, this will work in the retro frame.
What is going on in the art?
And also too, there's some.
Oh, that's a brain. I thought it was. It looks like a jellyfish. It looks like a jellyfish to me. Yeah, I think this, for being uncommon, I think it actually has uses.
Look at another one that has a retro frame.
Oh, retro frame.
Grim Servant.
Grim Servant. 4 mana, 3/2 menace. It's a zombie warlock. When it ETBs, search your library for a card with mana value less than or equal to your devotion to black. Reveal it, put it in your hand. You lose 3 life. How good is this card? I love Black Devotion. It's one of my favorite archetypes. We actually just played Black Devotion on the YouTube like a week ago. I think if you're playing this seems like a great commander card. It doesn't have a cast restriction, right? So if you blink this, any of those shenanigans, you get to tutor again. You do lose 3 life. Wow. Okay, this card's actually kind of crazy for commander. Because if you think about it, creature tutors in Commander are what? 7 mana? I guess you got Sidisi at 5 mana, but you need to exploit something. It is narrow in that you gotta have a lot of black mana symbols, but Evolution Witness, 3 mana, 2/1, adapt 2 for 2. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on Evolution Witness, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. I feel like there's probably a way to go infinite with this. I don't know exactly how. Worse than Eternal Witness. This is a common? Commons are getting wild. My goodness. All right, Pauper players. How good is your new Eternal Witness? How good is this card? That's a common. It's a common. So for 5 mana, you Ewit. You can pay it for 3, pay 2 to adapt it, get the card back to your hand. But if you have additional ways to put things onto it, which there are many ways to add counters to things, whenever 1 or more counters are put on it, just return a permanent. Oh, it's only permanents. Okay, that is a bit of a drawback. I think there's a way to go infinite with this, right? Like, Yotan. Oh, what is that card? What is the... Oh, chat, what is the Selesnya 2-drop that's in Standard? That's when you cast an artifact, or when it enters the battlefield, put a counter on something. Like, whatever that card, I thought it was like Yotani Dissident or something, but that card in like Mishra's Bob will go infinite, right? I think you just keep looping it and then draw your deck the next upkeep. Thraben Charm, 2 mana instant, common again for Pauper players. Choose 1. Deals damage equal to twice the number of creatures you control to target creature. Destroy an enchantment, exile any number of target players' graveyards. Pauper players. How good is this one, Pauper players? I mean, the removal mode's not bad. Would I play this in... So I don't know if you play this in Modern. I don't think I'd play it in Modern. Maybe it's a... Actually, you know what? Maybe it could be a sideboard card in Modern. Now that I think about it, Exile Graveyard's relevant in Modern. Removal's relevant in Modern. Destroying enchantments, like, sort of... Urza Saga, Snipes Urza Saga. Actually, maybe this could be a Modern sideboard card. My first reaction was no, but Glimpse the Impossible, another common. 3 mana, exile tap 3 cards to your library. You may play those cards this turn. At the beginning of your end step, if any of those cards remain exiled, put them into your graveyard, then create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature token for each. Whoa! Wait, that card's. Wait. This is a common? That art is amazing. Like, that art is... I don't know who Justine Jones is, but Justine Jones is... That's like Secret Lair level art. That art's so good. Wait, so that... Am I understanding this? This is Act on Impulse, but it also can just be make 3... Wait. No, am I... You make 3... So if I cast this for 3 mana, and I don't cast any of the cards, I get 3 Eldrazi spawns? So wait, if I go turn 1 mana dork, turn 2 this, turn 3 I untap with 7 mana? Isn't this card busted? Isn't this card busted? Like, and you fill your graveyard? Wait, this card's... It's a common? That's insane. Yeah, the art is, we're not even talking enough about the art, because that art is amazing. Whoever Justine Jones is, well done on that one. But this card is also actually kind of ridiculous. And it's a common. Well, for whoever was asking early in the stream and talking about like, oh, I hope the lower rarity cards are good.
Yeah,
so far they look pretty good.
We've been doing
where does that fit? Eldrazi spawns are just not priced that cheaply.
Cards that were only legal in the older formats like Legacy, and
that's like it's like a ritual almost.
So now as time.
Oh, look at this too.
Like, well,
I forgot about this card, Broodbur thing. Like, 2 mana sorcery. If you control an Eldrazi spawn, make 3 Eldrazi spawns. Otherwise, you make 1 Eldrazi spawn.
Like, okay, here's Cabal.
Maybe there's some weird Eldrazi spawn ramp ritual deck. And then you play the new Kozilek to pump them. Got him.
One of the things I love is we've now gone and taken a look at Commander content that we've printed.
That is,
printed in Commander
yes, that one's also common. Wait, maybe it's a Pauper deck.
So a lot of modern,
and then you can play.
In Modern Horizons,
and then you can play the Eldrazi.
That the team went and identified of like, hey, this card would be.
You can play.
Great.
Yeah, that is also. It's also a common.
Spawn a new deck.
And then isn't there an Eldrazi where
deserves to be modern legal too?
Hand of Emrakul, sack 4 spawns rather than paying its cost. I bet there could be a mono red Eldrazi Pauper deck. Oh, Impact Tremors too. Okay, we got a deck going. We got a deck going.
Section, we're gonna show off 4 of the new to modern.
New to modern cards.
We'll have some more.
Yeah, I think there's 42 in total.
40 new to modern reprints. All right, Wasteland.
Then,
right.
Yeah.
How about Wasteland?
42 in total.
Sounds very good.
Yeah.
Now, but if you want those details, we will have the
how about a
article will go up.
How about a Wasteland, Blake? One time.
Show, or it might already be up. Who knows?
One time. It's gonna be
so
some commander card.
4 of these cards right now. 2 of them which are from Commander products, and 2 of them which are from older sets. So let's start with Crick, Son of Yawgmoth. So this is a very powerful commander.
Okay, I mean that is a commander card. Is this relevant to modern?
Yeah, I mean just like Mike said, these.
So 7 mana really / 4 mana, a bunch of life for 2/2. Lifelink. For each black in a cost, you pay 2 life rather than its mana cost. I mean, there's probably a way to like combo. So Death Shadow, you can probably go off with Aetherflux Reservoir in some sort of like Black Devotion deck. It works with like Gray Merchant to gain back the life. All right. I can get behind. Like, it'll be a good against the odds episode at least. Ranger Man, welcome to the Fishbowl. Thank you so much for your subscription. Big super chat, thank you. I think it might be too slow for Death Shadow. Like, does Death Shadow want a 4-drop? Like, even if you play 6 life for it, it's still 4 mana. It is new to Arena, so this is. Oh, you know where it's definitely going to make an impact is in Brawl. This set's going to be really good for Brawl. That's going to be super sweet. Brea Ethereum. Wait. Wait, are all their new to modern cards actually just commander reprints? Brea Ethereum Sculptor. I mean, so Brea, iconic commander, very popular artifact commander, 4 mana. everything but green for a 4/4. When ETBs, you make 2/2 Thopters, and you pay 2, sack 2 artifacts to lightning bolt something, well, a creature or planeswalker. Give a creature -4/-4 intelligence turn or gain 5 life. Is this card, it's a really good commander. Is this card relevant to Modern? I kind of doubt it. I mean, maybe. 4 colors of mana is a lot. When I think of it, I think of like Omnath. Desert. Okay, this one matters. Deserted Temple is also a commander card, but I think this one. I think this one can see play in Coffers.
Yeah, I mean this card's pretty unique.
Because it works with Coffers in Commander. And Coffers is now a thing in Modern. I imagine that Coffers decks, if you're already playing Expedition maps and tutoring out Coffers, tutoring out lands, I feel like Coffers, you probably don't play a full 4 of them, but I bet you play at least 1 Deserted Temple in Mono Black Coffers. Does Tron want it? I think it's less exciting. It's most exciting with Coffers and Nykthos. Nykthos, Green Devotion is the other place that I think this card will see play, or even Black Devotion, any sort of Devotion deck. Tron, it's less exciting because remember, you're paying 1 and tapping it. So essentially you're paying 2 mana. So the most this does in Tron is if you have Tron assembled, with Urza's Tower, it makes 1 additional mana. With something like Coffers or Nykthos, though, this can often be make 8 mana, 10 mana, like some massive number of mana. So really good for Nykthos, really good for Coffers. Tron, more skeptical. I don't think it's explosive enough, but you never know. You never know. We got another new donation from McCary, $5 donation. Wait, didn't they say 4 cards? Those were only 3 cards. I swear they said 4.
They don't have, I don't believe it's 100% dedicated slot, but you do find them pretty regularly.
Did they not say 4?
And you can get them in the wild card slot.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they said 4. Commander Horizons for real this time.
Next up, this is a cycle of cards that you definitely haven't seen before. But the art on these is really cool.
I mean, you're not wrong, Mikir. Well, they say this every time.
The art on these frame breaks. Mike, these are gorgeous.
So, chat, question for you. When you think of medallions, what format pops into your head? Just out of curiosity. That art is pretty spectacular. The bottom row of art, whatever. Is it frame break? It might be frame break. Yeah. I mean, I mostly think of Commander. Although it is true, Ruby Medallion, there is mono red Storm with Ruby Medallion. I think I once saw a Sapphire Medallion deck in Legacy as well. So there could be uses. I'm not saying there's no uses of these. I think we could see Ruby Medallion in a Storm deck in Modern. There could be a Sapphire Medallion deck in Modern. There could be a Jet Medallion deck for all I know. But I do associate them mostly with Commander. Man, look at that art. Look at that eye. Something bad is happening to that poor person. Their eye is running into their mouth. Actually, all the art's pretty good. Is that a snake on a... What is going on with the Pearl Medallion? What is that on? Well, the art's cool. I do think I mean, these cards are actually pretty valuable, right? Or did the price drop from the last reprinting? What is the current cost? What is the current cost of medallions? Let's go with Jet Medallion. Jet Medallion, it's still like 20 bucks. I assume Ruby is the most expensive. 15 bucks. They were just in Commander Masters not super duper long ago. But I mean,
for reprints specifically,
good reprints value-wise.
You know, a couple from Modern Horizons 1 and the majority from Modern Horizons 2, they are only found in the collector booster, right? So
I mean,
once again, we wanted to bring them into
so
the
here's the
retro
thing.
frame.
I don't think I can go with
However,
it's Commander As much as there's a lot of Commander cards we've seen so far, I am really hesitant to say it's Commander Horizons, just because I know we've said that every time, and every time the set is actually broken Modern.
You'll get the retro frame.
Retro frame Evoke Elementals. Obviously.
Yes, all 5 of them are coming. Now,
obviously,
Mike, I will ask you. So,
are they going to say anything about Arena?
In Modern,
right?
So talk a little bit about that. Why it's still in the set.
Yeah, I mean, as you alluded to, these are very iconic cards from Modern Horizons 2 and now kind of infamous in the Modern format. These were selected before, you know, that ban decision was made.
You know they got to ban Grief too, right? Like, you know what's going to happen.
Modern format, regardless of these selections that we've made, you know, in advance. But regardless, you know, Fury and all of these cards are really exciting, powerful cards to own.
Yeah. All right, let's take a trip through the rest of these. So these are all going to be
those cards are
reprints
going
from previous modern sets. With the retro frame.
These are just Modern Horizon. Okay. Modern Horizon reprints with the retro frame. That's cool. Like, that's fine. The most relevant part of these is probably, like, Dress Down coming to Arena for the first time. Because I believe they said the entire set's coming to Arena. Yeah, what do they do about Arena? That's my concern. Like, nothing changes in Modern. Grief is already, you know, the best deck in Modern in the Scam deck. Fury's already banned. The other ones are already, like, playable to fine, like, reasonable. What does this mean to Arena? That's what scares me. Yeah, I guess you get some financial relevance with Esper Sentinel being reprinted. It does look sharp in the old border. It does look nice. I'm afraid that those cards are going to straight up break Arena, though. Like, I don't even know. I guess we were just playing Heist, so teaching Arena Zoomers, yeah, we're going to get some good Arena Zoomer content out of this, that's for sure. Dress Down, Death Shadow. Yeah, I think people, honestly, Dress Down is a card that Arena Zoomers actually will need to be taught about, because that's a card, it took a while of playing around it and with it in Modern to really get used to what it can do, and it actually does way more than it looks. When you read it, you're kind of like, oh, whatever, but there's actually so many situations where Dress Down is really impactful to a game of Modern.
But now,
yeah, they do look like Onslaught Block, right? The old border. I love the old borders. I would play everything in old borders if I could, if I had the option.
Different set symbol than the main set.
Yeah, they do have a different set symbol than the main set. Once again, that's sort of that the distinguishing factor, right? Because they're in the collector booster only.
All right. So these are collector boosters only. So I guess this might mean they're not coming to Arena.
The next batch of these.
The special guest will.
Sling Gang.
Old Border. Don't we already have Old Border Ragavan? Am I misremembering?
Channeler and Ragavan Nimble Pilfer.
I swear I've seen Old Border Ragavan.
Best red 1-drop at various times, and then Strike It Rich, a relatively cheap but powerful treasure.
Oh, maybe there's not Old Border. I don't know why I thought that looked so familiar. Oh, wait, there is.
I think these cards speak for themselves as, you know.
Oh, it's only on Moto.
Constructed
is it only on Moto?
Commander decks, just very
iconic.
iconic.
I see. So that's where I saw it. There was already a Magic Online Old Border version, but we haven't seen it in paper yet.
Right?
Oh, yeah, I didn't notice that.
One of the fun things about
is this in limited? Okay, so
frame and flashback is.
So I just explained the old border cards only in collector boosters, so they will not impact limited, right? Collector boosters, unless you're drafting collector boosters for some reason, but it won't impact normal drafts. If you draft on Arena, Magic Online, whatever, not gonna have to worry about them in limited. It's a collector booster only slot where they're getting some reprints in the collector boosters.
All right, we've got 3 more of these to show off.
Unholy
Heat,
Color Pie Break, Tireless Provisioner, pretty sweet. Munitions Expert, all right. I mean, that slot's fine. Like, I don't know, what's the most valuable cards we could get? I guess that's what we're mostly rooting for with these cards, is for them just to like reprint the most valuable ones, because that'll have an impact on everyone, really, being able to get them a little more cheaply. So hopefully we see some of the big money cards show up there. Well, we're getting Grief. We're getting Ragavan. We can pull up the card list. Let's see. I think they said both Modern Horizon sets too.
And so I think we're going to take a look at.
We're going to look at all 10.
Yeah. Oh, we're looking at all 10.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. And so we went and we picked cards that were from Magic's past. And gave them new art, the beautiful art styling, and
is this special guest?
So they're the special guests.
Yeah, so
special
guests
guests
right off the bat. Probably known again. We showed off Solitude.
So Solitude, Subtlety, Grief, Fury, Endurance, Expressive Iteration, Persist is relevant to Arena. Dismember, that's relevant to Arena. Thought Not Seer,
All Stars, and then
I mean,
we've got Expressive Iteration down there.
This is the Shake Up Arena. The Shake Up Arena card list right here. All 5 evoke elementals, definitely huge on Arena. Expressive iteration already exists there, that's fine. Persist, that is very, very relevant. Now we'll have Persist and Reanimate on Arena. Dismember will see play, no doubt about it. Not just in Death Shadow, but in Death Shadow. But Dismember is just a really good removal spell. Prismatic Ending, that's a hugely impact. We just played against the 5-color domain deck in Timeless. That is a great card index like that. And then Thought Nasir, with all these Eldrazi coming around, every single one of these cards, minus the expressive iteration, I think is very impactful on Arena. Look at that Dismember art. That's like a huge... Did you see that Dismember art?
Decks
That was like a
this
huge
Modern
person
Horizons
pulling
set
apart a
for the
little
first time.
person.
So, Mike, why?
Which member?
I've seen a lot of questions about why Commander decks in a Modern Horizons set.
Yeah, so you know, one of the things
All right,
that
let's see
became,
this justification, Mike.
Pretty clear was we always knew that Modern Horizons would appeal to the modern player, right? I mean,
yeah.
in Modern Horizons 2. The thing
That's why it's called Modern
you
Horizons,
know,
yeah.
In retrospect, not surprising, but we also saw a ton of love from the Commander community. I mean, Commander is Magic's most popular format, and in Modern Horizons and Modern Horizons 2 are filled with powerful cards. So of course Commander players are going to embrace it. And so with that, it became like with the Commander audience just really loving and digging everything about the Horizons line, it was like, all right, let's go and introduce Commander decks, because it just afforded us an opportunity to do new designs that were, you know, had embraced some of that modern essence like Ethan was talking about in the video, and use it to create some cool, powerful cards, and also bring back reprints into the Commander decks that otherwise, you know, typically we wouldn't be able to include as well. So,
yeah,
you know,
people buy them.
overall,
We
it's
like
just
really
a
money.
win-win of, hey, let's do what
It's a win.
Do what our players want and give them some new designs.
Yeah.
So yes, and I will acknowledge it is awkward that the product's called, you know, Modern Horizons 3 Commander.
Yeah.
And yes, the new cards are not legal in Modern, but that's, you know, like to me, I just thought that this was the right thing to do to make
money.
some new awesome cards. So.
Hold on to that thought,
Yeah,
audience, about the
it's a
reprints.
little awkward,
because
but
the reprints in these decks,
we will be swimming like Scrooge McDuck in a huge vault of gold.
but they're very good. So we're gonna go.
I mean, honestly, we joke a little bit that the Commander Precon themes are cool. So I mean, I can't be that critical. Like, yes, it's obviously ridiculous that it's Modern Horizons 3 Commander. Honestly, the Commander Precons. The Commander Precons are less of a concern.
And it is helmed by Satya,
than
Aetherflux Genius.
I just hope we don't get a ton of Commander
Mike,
cards
you
in the
talked
set
about, first of all,
proper.
we see 4
like,
different
that's what
versions here. You
scares
don't
me
get all 4 in the
most
Commander
is
decks,
like
correct?
how
That's
many
right,
slots
yeah.
in
So
the
in
set proper, the actual Modern
there's
Horizons 3
kinds of
set,
Commander decks.
are
There's
going to
Commander
be
deck, and then
are going to
there's
be
the
cards that are
Collector
clearly
Commander deck.
designed for Commander, and how many are going to be designed for
the
Modern?
foil
That's the
Commander,
bigger
I
thing.
mean,
The
that's
Commander
for anyone
Precons,
who's
do what you got. Do what you got to
bought a
do. Get that
pre-constructed
bag.
Commander deck, you'll be very
This
familiar.
card.
You get that
So when it
foil
attacks,
Commander,
create a tapped and attacking
in
token. There's a copy of
Commander
up to one
deck.
target
Also,
non-token
every
creature you
Commander deck
control.
comes
You
with
get
the
2
foil
energy. At the
edge,
beginning of your next end step, sack
we
that
call it
token.
foil extra
Unless you pay an
Commander,
amount of
right? A lot of times,
energy
you
equal
know,
to its mana value.
We see people just using that one as the one they
It
set
does have
aside,
haste.
and then if they need to shuffle it into their deck for whatever reason, they bring out the actual magic card. The borderless profile card that you see here.
It seems.
That is actually
How much do you like this Commander? Yeah, we talked about the fetch land prices earlier. So I really like that they've started supporting the precon cards, not Modern legal. You can see they have a different set symbol, thankfully, but you can see the M3C down here and the set symbol. If it has that, not Modern legal. That part is a little bit awkward. Talia, welcome to the Fishbowl. Thank you so much for your subscription. Big Tube TV, thank you. What do you do with this? So it's a powerful effect, right? Like a hasty commander that can create a token of any non-token. That's a powerful effect. If you want to keep that token, you either need to be an energy deck where you're making much energy, or you need to be copying a small creature so it's less impactful. It is cool to see energy getting support. I like it. I do like it.
Famed
Kite.
Machinist.
So,
who has Fabricate 1.
4
other
mana,
non-token
3/3.
creatures you control have
Fabricate 1.
and then,
Look.
little mana and tapping.
What is going on in this
Populate
art?
Or proliferate.
I don't know the.
Yeah, the
Is that
foil
little
expert
machine about to
here
kill
is,
them or something? They look very like worried. They're holding this thing like, oh my, like very concerned. That is a look of concern. That kind of looks like a mini robot sword.
want that particular version. And that's
So
when
other non-token creatures have Fabricate 1. So when they ETB, you put a counter on them and make your servo, and then you can pay 2, tap to populate or proliferate.
Up, we have a highly anticipated deck, the Eldrazi.
Oh, is that the
Incursion
fabricating
deck
look? All right, here comes the
with
Eldrazi.
Ulek
5-color devoid Eldrazi.
Helmet.
Here we. Oh, maybe that's the look. Is it actually working? This card's wild to me. This card's so.
3 versions here.
I don't.
Yeah, so the Eldrazi sort of.
What is this
you know, they're
profile?
interesting because
What is this
as you
profile?
see in the foil
It looks like a.
they already have.
I don't know what's going on. It looks like a sun hat
so
over his
it
face or
meant that
something.
We didn't.
The card itself, 5 colors. You can guess it for 5 colorless or any combination of colors. It's a Wooburg commander that can also be cast for 5 colorless. It's a 2/5. It's devoid, so it never has any color technically. When you cast an Eldrazi, pay 2, copy all the spells you control, then copy all the activated and triggered abilities you control, and you can choose new targets for it. Where does this fit in the... Oh, it does kind of look like a music conductor, you're right. Where does this fit in the hierarchy of Eldrazi commanders?
We've got Azlask, the swelling.
Ooh, backup commander. Azlask, 3 mana 2/2. Whenever it or another close creature you control dies, you get an experience counter pay Wooburg. Creatures you control get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of experience counters you have. Scions and spawns you control gain indestructible and oh, that's actually kind of spicy. That's cool that they made an Eldrazi spawn / Scion token. Also, I don't know why did they make Scions and spawn? Couldn't they have just always made them the same? And but anyway, that was a decade ago. That's neither here nor there. But that's pretty cool that they actually designed a commander that works specifically with spawns and Scions. The ability to drop this and just annihilate the board with a bunch of harmless 0/1s is actually kind of hilarious.
Mana activations.
That's a both of the Eldrazi commanders are pretty cool.
And they're casting
I
costs,
actually like both of them.
And I'll say that
they do different things, but they both seem good. Now I kind of want to build a spawn deck.
So by
Eldrazi spawn tokens.
Color in some ways.
5-color Eldrazi just sounds weird.
If you count colorless as a
yeah,
color.
having like that's the upside, right? Is you get access to green ramp, which that powers up basically any archetype.
Like
having access to green is such a huge deal.
Going into a new space with modern, that's something that we just typically don't get to do. So
Why don't they just make those cards legal in modern? That's my other question. Like, wouldn't that have solved most of the issue? If you want to make commander precons, maybe just design them in a way that they can be modern legal, and then I think that would minimize the complaints, right? Like, if the commander precons were also modern legal, but you just threw them together into a precon, maybe no one would complain about it.
New mana symbol, which
yeah, Eldrazi getting green ramp seems kind of busted, honestly. I made a couple of weeks ago. In your back was wanting to get on the viewer submitted battles and was asking about a deck. Ooh, Paladin, can you send me another message?
In your deck,
we will be doing viewer battles at some point,
right? It's the lights. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So and
what
then
is...
also the we have the I was mentioning the display commander. So this is it's both foil etched and ripple foil.
Do you think WotC people do they just walk around the building with like the hottest new foils? Is that just part of the job? You just have like the new Eldrazi commander in my pocket.
As always, these cards.
I'm pretty sure it does look a little curled. You're not wrong.
We capture them as best we can.
Yeah,
but
it's a foil. What do you expect?
They're really stunning.
So much better.
Yeah, I really love how the foil.
Has Michael said anything? Is Michael's job in this just to sit there while Blake and Mike talk? Have we heard Mike? I don't think we've heard Mike at all.
This one is definitely a callback to
their badges are foiled out.
Particular card. So let's
Tarmogoyf
see,
Commander. Tarmogoyf Commander.
Whenever a Lihurgoyf permanent card is put into your graveyard from
whenever
anywhere
one or more
other than the
creatures you control deal combat damage to a player,
Whenever
create a
one
Tarmogoyf
or
token.
more
So if you attack each opponent in a game of Commander, you're getting
Create a
4
Tarmogoyf
Tarmogoyfs each turn. And then if you're playing Self-Mill, whenever you mill a Lurgoyf, it goes into play. I don't know if this commander is like super strong, but it is cool. I think it's Boomer Jun Commander. Boomer Jun Commander. Are they only serializing Eldrazi, or are they also doing fetches?
Yeah, we do.
All we saw were the 3 Eldrazi. They mentioned.
Token, right?
Oh, there is actually. Could you play this as a? Oh, this token's mana cost is why? Why do they write it this way instead of just like putting it on the top? Isn't that weird? Shouldn't they just make it look like an actual card? That's very odd to me. Why not just like have it have an actual mana cost? Or they think that's too confusing? Maybe they're going to talk about it.
Right, to get real world feedback, because you know, and I'll never forget when
were people like shuffling them in their deck or something?
Losing their mind making Tarmogoyf tokens.
Yeah.
Right, in playing this deck, because
that is a super sweet commander. I don't know why they formatted the card, the token that way.
And you know,
I hope
getting rewarded. So you can
I hope we keep getting more cards that make tokens of powerful cards, because it seems like super easy perfect proxies, right? Like if you don't want to spend 10-20 bucks on a Tarmogoyf, throw the token in your commander deck. Like, I would be fine with that. Would anyone actually say no to that? It seems like a really cool. I hope they do more. Like, you know, the alchemy cards that make like a Mox Ruby token, a Black Lotus token. We need those in paper. They would be the best proxies.
And
here's the backup commander,
they are,
Korum, the Undertaker. 4 mana 0/5. It gets +X/+0, where X
In
is the
all
greatest.
graveyards,
Oh boy,
again, it
the greatest power among creatures in all graveyards. When it attacks, each player mills a card. During each of your turns, you may play a land or cast a spell from among the cards in graveyards that were put there from libraries this turn. Ooh, wait. You can play a land and cast a spell from among cards in graveyard. Oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, that's really cool. So that lets you, it's like a theft, it's like a Jund theft mill commander, because it works with all the graveyards. So if you mill your opponents, you can cast spells and play lands from their graveyards. During each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a spell. So you can cast one spell and one land from any graveyard is from among the cards milled that turn. That's actually really cool.
The next one we're going to show is an example. The decks have a ton of powerful reprints in them. But I think this one's pretty emblematic, because I was actually looking for one of these the other day. So
Archon of Cruelty.
This is a favorite reanimator target.
How much are they selling the Commander Masters? Modern Horizons. It feels a little like Commander Master sometimes. How much are they selling the precons for?
Commanders,
Modern
13 other new designs.
3 Commander.
And they're 100-card decks. And so
are they selling them for?
You know, we have a lot of opportunities.
A high price.
Bringing in some amazing reprints.
It looks like.
And Archon of Cruelty is just one of them. So
yeah.
And of course, like
so normal precons list 280 for 4 of them.
Graveyard and
so $70 a piece list, but they're actually selling for 223. So that's what, $60 a piece. And then you can get the collector's edition. Those ones are going to be like $150 a piece. Which I guess they give you.
So yeah, the precons, the lists for those with all those sweet reprints.
Everything's in Ripple foil.
Next week on this
and you get profile commanders.
Last deck here to talk about is Tricky Terrain.
Okay, I mean, so that's a little bit more expensive, right? That's like slightly more expensive than normal. This deck really intrigues me. Just this card intrigues me. Each land, so when it enters the battlefield or attacks, put an everything counter on a land and a creature. Each land with an everything counter is every land type. Each non-land creature with an everything counter is every creature type.
Through and through. Right?
How do you use that? It's such a unique effect. Yeah, I mean, you pay $150 for a deck of Pringles. It's a super unique effect. I don't know exactly what you do with this card. They have not mentioned bundle or gift promos yet that we've seen.
So I look forward to people custom making some, maybe everything bagel counters and really going all out there.
So what's the
but
best thing you can do with this card,
it's
Chat?
Definitely, if you're somebody who likes to
I guess, yeah,
brew
coat of arms. I
and
guess you can coat of
put
arms
together,
and make all
pretty
your
cool
things.
combos.
Your creature would get big based on any creature on the battlefield, so I guess it would make your team really big.
Goodness of,
You can build it to cast choke
what
on
you
your
can really
opponent's
do with
lands.
lands.
Oh,
and
that
it's
is
great too,
true.
because, of
That
course,
is true.
Commander, you can
Domain,
Omo
yeah, I mean,
and
very easy with
you're
domain
gonna be able to play
shenanigans.
commander tags, and get Omo going again.
So if your land is
All
every
right,
land
next up
type, it
for
makes all
the
colors?
Backup commander, we have Jyoti
Or no?
Mo'ag Ancient.
Jokimo, Mog Ancient.
And,
4 mana, 2/4. When it enters a battlefield, create a 1 green forest dryad land creature token for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone. Oh boy, another one of these. Help you pay your command tax cards. For each time you've cast your commander from the command zone this game, at the beginning of camp on your turn, land creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is its power. Okay. I mean, so you make a Dryad Arbor for every time you've cast it. I thought it was modern. So these are the commander precons, paradoxically associated with Modern Horizons, which they gave us a little modern. Don't worry. Earlier in the stream, they took a good 5 or 10 minutes to show us some modern cards amongst the commander precons. I mean, Commander's really popular. Commander's very popular.
It's a land deck. Why not bring in
Apex Devastator
with that classic
What?
line Cascade?
Did he say it's a land deck? So why not? What does Apex Devastator have to do with being a land deck? I don't know if I'm seeing the synergy. I mean, it's a good reprint. It's a $20, $23, $24 card. So good reprint value-wise. Not sure why its land deck would apply to that, but it is. I mean, I'm not going to complain. Any $20+ card they're throwing in Commander Precon, that's a win for all of us. So the more of that, the better. I don't even care if the flavor is good. The $20 reprint makes it worth it. Oh, I guess that's what it's going for. It's like you're a land deck, so you're going to be ramping. I guess it's true. Like you have the backup commander that's making the Dryad Arbors, so I guess you like ramp into it by casting that.
Concludes all the preview cards we have. We do have a couple minutes if.
All right. Well, that is the stream. Wow. So let's pull up the cards real quick, and then I'm gonna have to go and make a spoiler video. If you want to watch the Q&A, I'll put the WotC link in the chat. But we're gonna look over the cards, and then I'm gonna have to go do our spoiler video for the YouTube here shortly. So what do we see? What do we actually see today from these spoilers? So there's so much. There is so much. So we're getting the medallions. The Evoke Elementals coming to Modern, or coming to Arena for the first time. The Commander Precons, I think they look really sweet. I'm actually pretty excited for them. I think that some of these cards look really, really strong. Like, I'm kind of blown away by the lower rarity cards. That was something that people were asking earlier. If you're a Pauper player, or you're someone who just wants lower rarity cards because they're cheaper, it seems like the lower rarity cards are going to be really interesting and complex. The art on Glimpse the Impossible is so good. Oh, look at the art on that. What a sweet looking card. Deserted Temple, I think Deserted Temple gonna play a role in Modern. Also a fine commander reprint. I don't know how much Deserted Temple is. $8. Oh, I forgot it was in Lord of the Rings. So that's an interesting reprint for Modern. Brain Surge is intriguing. We got to see the new wheel. We got a new Gilded Rake coming with the energy theme. We got to see the new MDFCs coming to play in tap for 3 life. Yes, there's a decent amount of commander stuff. This is the card. Out of all the cards we've seen, this card is so incredibly cool, but it's definitely a commander card, but it's so neat. I expect, what's your pick, chat? What's the biggest commander that we've seen today? I'm going to go with, Arnya. Like, this card is just so fun to build around. Whenever a modified creature you control attacks, double the number of each kind of counter on it. That by itself is cool, but then for each non-token permanent attached to it, so artifacts, auras, create a token that's a copy of it. Think of all the swords, think of all the auras, the Eldrazi conscriptions, all the counters. It's such a cool design. It's not going to do anything in Modern. No way. I don't think there's any way. Maybe we can build them against odds, and even that might be a stretch. It is 5 mana, but it's such a cool commander. I think the new Eladrami seems like a card that has a lot of modern potential. 3 mana 3/3 lets you look in and cast creatures from the top of your deck, pay a green and tap it, tap 2 untap creatures, put a creature from your hand to the top of the deck on the battlefield. So that can be putting Emrakul's, that can be putting Crater Hoofs into play really quick and early in the game. That card seems really exciting. This card, I didn't even get to read this one earlier. 6 mana. Aura Enchant player. At the beginning of Enchanted player's post-combat main phase, there's an additional beginning phase after this phase. The beginning phase is untap, upkeep, draw. That, I mean, that's cool. Oh, it's not even a curse, is it? It just enchants player? Huh. I think that's a commander card, right? I think that's a commander card more than a modern card. It is cool though, and I will say the art in this set's like really good. So what do we get this actually for modern? I would say, and I think this is like most of the Modern Horizon sets, I would say the Flare Cycle is very much designed, where'd the Flare Cycle go? I would say the Flare Cycle, very much designed for modern. I would say the Planeswalker, the Flipwalker cycle, I would say those are primarily designed for modern, although they do have some commander implications as well. So I think those are very modern focused. And then we have like Eladrami. I think Pearlier is like kind of designed for modern. So if you see people saying it's actually, you know, Commander Horizons or whatever, sure, yes, there is a lot of good commander cards in here, but that's fine. Commanders are really powerful in popular format. Every set's going to have commander cards. We just want to make sure that there's modern cards in there as well. And I think so far, it seems like there is. Like, my hype level is really, really high because I'm seeing new stuff for Arena. Like, all these special guests, like, are really going to shake up Arena. All the sets going to shake up Arena, but getting all the Evoke Elementals, Persist, Dismembers, Prismatic Ending, that's huge for formats like Timeless. There's new stuff for Commander players that people are really going to like. And then there's a bunch of good modern stuff. So I would say all around. I gotta know, chat. What's your hype level now? What's your hype level? We talked about it going into the stream. Where you were at now that you've seen this big glimpse of the set, hype level up, down, or the same? Where are you at before we go off? 5 out of 10? Is that up or down from where you were before, Shamu? 5 out of 10, 9 still. I mean, my hype level is still incredibly high. Like, nothing about this has lowered my hype level. I will say, yes, and they even admitted, and I can respect that they admitted, yeah, it's a little awkward to say, you know, Modern Horizons 3 commander decks, but I think people are going to focus too much on that. Don't let it ruin the set for you, because we want Magic to be for everyone, right? So, yes, there's going to be commander cards in there, but that's because commander is a really popular format, and just because there's cards for commander players isn't taking away necessarily, hopefully, cards for other formats as well. And hopefully Modern Horizons 3 hits that mark where it's something commander players are love. It's something that's going to shake up and change modern, and it's going to shake up and change Arena. So yeah, I get it. There is a lot of commander stuff in here, but don't overlook all the super cool modern cards, because the super cool modern cards are the cards that you know, I'm going to be really hyped to play with, and there's a lot of them so far. But anyway, everyone, it looks like it's going to be a big spoiler video today, so I'm going to have to run off, do a spoiler video. It'll be up on the YouTube in a few hours as soon as I get it done. So reminders on the way out the door. Replay YouTube, that's where you find all the old streams. Normal YouTube, spoiler video coming up. Tomorrow's Against the Odds is an epic one. There's so much coming up on the YouTube, so keep an eye out for that. And one more reminder that our sponsor today is Card Kingdom, and if you need some magical cards, you can get them over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. Most importantly, thank you to each and every one of you. I know there's a ton of ways to watch the spoiler content, and you decided to hang out, check out the stream with me, so y'all are amazing. I love you so much. Have an amazing day, have a great afternoon, and check out the spoiler video on the YouTube. So be good, everyone. I love y'all, and I will talk to you soon.